Welcome to the Comics Aficionados live here
Like
on
beer.
Critical YouTube. It's
Like
Saturday. Everybody's having a good time. And Gray, you're already what? 4 shots of what is it? What's the rice wine they got in Japan?
Sake.
Sake. You're
A little
four sakes in.
A little bit of Japanese sake, yeah, and maybe 4 sheets into the wind. But no, I'm good. I've been careful tonight. I've been sticking on beer, Wes. I can handle beer.
Very nice. It's a very Texas attitude. I'm not drinking. It's just beer.
And don't forget, it's late for me where I am. Everyone's listening. It's like it's 11 or 2 p.m. So I'm sorry for having beer in the morning where you are, but there we go.
Oh no, you can.
Oh, tomorrow's St. Patty's Day.
You're UK.
Yeah, really.
Yes. So we can do kegs and eggs tomorrow.
Slanch.
I do miss the corned beef and cabbage on St. Patrick's Day. They do corned beef here, but it's always the canned stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, same. In Japan, same.
It's rough. So, you've got good news, Gray? You've been beaming all week and you're celebrating?
I am. I'm buzzing. My daughter graduated from university. She's like, I can't believe it. She's old. She's 22 now, Wes. So I couldn't be there, but my wife is there right now. So I am actually free. I'm home alone. So having a good time.
Watch out for the wet bandits.
Gray's just wearing his underwear. He's dancing around. He's doing the risky business, you know. Take those old records off the shelf, Gray. It's time.
So here in the Philippines, and certainly when I lived in Korea, you know, I haven't lived in Japan. I've only gone through the airports there. But I know, like, college isn't over with your first degree. You have to go to college until you're at least 30. Is that the same thing there?
Oh, really? No, I've not heard that. In Japan, it's like basically if you get the first degree, you go into work, and the old idea was that it was like
forever.
Yeah, it used to be a job for life, but these days that's kind of changing. So we'll see what happens with my daughter.
Well, very nice, and congratulations. Very nice stuff there.
Appreciate it. And thanks for having me on, Wes. I really appreciate it.
And thanks for showing up. We've got a link to your YouTube channel. Is there anything people need to know about that you've had recently?
Not really. I've been taking a bit of a break. My Savage Sword of Conan review did pretty well. Really enjoyed that. And the Batman First Night review has been doing pretty good too. I thought that was the best Batman story I've read in a long time.
So with that Savage Sword of Conan, I like the book, and it's a great value, like $7, I think, for 86 pages.
Yeah.
You really can't beat it. You get black and white comic books. But it felt like in the main story that they filtered the art through AI, and it changed like the texture of the backgrounds. And I couldn't like keep reading the story because I kept getting so fixated on how distracting it was. That was the only thing I didn't like.
Exactly what you mean. Yeah, it was a little bit weird. There was something kind of, it felt off. And when you compared it to the second story, to the Solomon Kane story, which was gorgeous by Patrick Zircher, yeah, that looked really good. I don't know what went wrong because the main art is really good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But they threw like weird textures on dinosaurs and stuff. So
yeah.
Fantastic value on that comic book, and really enjoyed that one. So definitely check it out if you haven't seen Savage Sword of Conan, or you haven't seen a review on The Batman First Night. Go check out Gray's channel. There's a link. We've also got somebody else special showing up to the channel. We haven't seen you in a while. The man so cool, they call him the Breen. Eric Breen's great return.
Yeah, boy.
Like Gail Simone on the X-Men, I'm here because everybody else
from the ashes.
No way.
Or somebody said they should call it Ashes to Ashes. Huh?
Saw that.
They definitely should.
That was a pretty decent little joke. So how you been, Breen? You still reading comic books? You still doing the geeky puppets?
Yes and yes. Not a lot of mainstream, but finding a decent amount of indies, and picked up the Batman Silver Age omnibus yesterday and been working my way through that. So yeah, I'm still all in.
Very nice. Have you been reading Green Lantern from DC Comics?
I have. That's one of the 2 DC books I'm reading.
It's so good, isn't it?
That kid can write anything.
And what's the other DC book you're on?
Superman.
Superman has also been good. The Bizarro story in Action Comics was a little bit of a letdown after the first issue, though. But we'll see what happens.
Surprised.
Yeah.
If we get to a certain topic today, we'll have a comment on
the Brainiac stuff.
Yeah.
If you haven't read Batman Offworld, shockingly, Jason Aaron and Doug Mankey are knocking that one out of the park. Not so much shocking with Doug Mankey, but it's actually pretty cool. And if you haven't fell in love with Punchbot yet, Breen, it's time.
Well, I'm not familiar with that, but I will say that I will have to agree with Gray that Batman First Night was a very enjoyable read.
Very nice. Have you been making any other appearances? I know sometimes you like to pimp your sign off on the YouTubes.
No, I still do the Wednesday night show on Graphic Man, the 4-Color Fossils, and then butcher some comics on Geeky Puppet Show. But that's about it now these days.
I'm sorry, my internet went out there for a second. I was hoping that you were going to keep talking until it came back.
Well, I was just checking to see what kind of pose you froze on, because most time
it's probably
like,
amazing.
Yeah, we'll say so for you.
It happens, the internet's not as trustworthy here as it was in some other places. But great to have you back, Breen. I don't know if you've experienced this, but we do need to talk to Jim from Weird Science, and we've got a tradition on Saturday, like any other Jim. How did you almost die this week?
I got food poisoning this week. I ate some bad salmon, is what I did, and and I knew it was bad. I shouldn't have eaten it, and I did, and it bit me in the ass. So, also, Gray will tell you, I've been having problems where every time I go and drink a coffee now that I make at home, there's ants in it, and I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on with these ants.
I think he's making it up, Wes. He's making it up.
I don't
Come
understand.
on.
It's every time I make a coffee, and it's just like hot black coffee in the pot, and then I pour it, and I don't realize because it's black. I put cream in it, and then all of a sudden I'm like, there's freaking 10 ants in this thing. So I just kind of I skim the pool. And I do.
Yes,
I
exactly.
skim it and I drink it. But yeah, I ended up earlier in the week. I had some salmon that the packaging was open. I thought maybe that was a recent thing. It might not have been. Everybody was yelling.
Well, it could have been, Jim. Your wife could have punctured the packaging.
Well, she may have. I have legit though. I wish
salmon.
if she was here, I'd actually have her come on. And I did say this week, finally, I think that she's trying to kill me. I said I'm drinking weird things. There's ants and shit, and I'm getting food poisoning. I think they're trying to kill me. And then they were yelling at me because I got sick. They were all screaming at me.
Jim, I have a serious
Well,
question.
when you got sick, you vomited all over everything, and they were going to
Yes,
have
I
to clean
did.
it up.
I didn't want to
And
get
the
too
dogs
disgusting.
were eating it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
of
it was bad. It was bad. It was all in the hallway. They were screaming, and then they slipped, and then the dogs were. It was bad. But what
nothing worse than
are you
slipping
going to
someone
ask me
else's
why
vomit and
I
falling in it
keep
in
going
your
on,
hair?
Aaron? Is that what you're going to ask
No,
me?
I was
why?
just going to ask you if recently or if any time in the past you have hit an old gypsy woman with your car.
I think I have. Yeah. And she, instead of like thinner, she just said bad luck or so. I don't know what. She just like jerk off. And the thing about this is that people get like they don't. I've had a better time of it than I had as a kid, and in college it was way worse. Like shit just went really wrong. I was actually at West Virginia, sitting there just eating breakfast, and at the house that I lived in, and a car drove into the house and barely missed me, and then went out and into our backyard. And I was just sitting there. The whole house was falling apart. And
maybe you're like Domino.
That was, I think so.
Power is good luck.
At that
you're
point,
almost dying because you should have died.
And at that point, I sat there and I just didn't even know what to do. I'm like, this is fucked up. But yeah, that's the shit that happens. So.
Was he delivering salmon?
Maybe. And the weird thing is, it's the salmon I ate, and this was in the 90s.
Here's the thing, though, Jim.
Yes.
You saw the salmon packaging. You saw that it was open after you got home. You smelled that the salmon smelled funny. While you were cooking it, you said there was an air of funkiness to it.
No, it was
when you
bad.
started eating it, you noticed it didn't taste right.
Yep.
Yet you finished every bite.
Kept eating it. And I was actually, at that point, I was making my wife a meal that I could have actually just threw the salmon away and had half of that, but I just kept eating it as we were going. I'm like, salmon kind of tastes a little weird sometimes, and I kept eating it, and I'm cheap.
And your dad imparted on you knowledge when you were a child, and what's the one great piece of advice he ever gave you?
He said, "Eat anything smells like fish. You eat it except for fish. Like the fish is the one thing you don't eat if it smells like fish." Is what he told me. I didn't realize he was using some double entendre at that point, but I ate it, and it wasn't good.
This one's all on you, Jim.
I said I actually talked to Jerome a bit about it, and I said it's all on me. This is no bad luck. This is just me being cheap and an idiot, is what it was. But
as far as the answer concerned, Jim, the World Economic Forum wants us all eating bugs anyway. So you're not a monster.
I don't get it. I don't know why these I can get if I had coffee. Just this is like fresh brewed hot coffee, and I go and put it. And what are they doing in it? I cleaned everything out. I don't get it. I don't understand.
He's making it up. Come on, guys.
I'll take a picture. It's funny too. I'll take a picture the next time because I kept at first. I thought it was just
next time.
Thought it was coffee. Well, I thought it was coffee grounds, and I would be like, "What the hell?" And then I realized at one point, like, "Oh crap."
So you're planning on taking no precautions whatsoever? On
No, I don't.
Issue.
I give up. I don't think it could change. So like I said, I skim the pool and then I drink the coffee. I have it right here. There you go. Ta-da. That's
if I had an island with a volcano on it with people that needed a sacrifice or I couldn't get to the mineral, I'd be like, I know a guy.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be, you're like Joe versus the volcano or whatever.
And I just it's like this whole nonsense just swirls around me. And then at the end, I just don't care. I just shake my head. So boom.
AL was completely right. When you said you poisoned yourself, I assumed that you got gas station sushi.
Yeah, you asked me that too. I actually thought of getting that this week too, but I'd already been sick, so I didn't get it. Me and Gray actually, and it's Wednesday that I get it, because not only do I get the gas station sushi, on Wednesday they get some of the old stuff and sell it half price, and I run to get that.
Exactly.
And I've been recording with
the shriveled up hot dog that's clearly been there for 4 days straight. And he's
sushi.
Like, that's the one I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
One that looks like
I've been recording with Gray on Wednesday morning, and I tell him, I'm leaving right now. When we get done, I'm running to get that sushi. It's the best. It's half price. I can get double.
I was in a 7-Eleven the other day, and they were offering 2 slices of pizza and a 24-ounce Pepsi product for $3. And I was super hungry, and I still was like, no.
$3?
No.
That's a bargain, Aaron.
Yeah, it's a huge bargain, but you have to wonder, what is that pizza made of?
I love bargains.
Even bad pizza is good pizza, Aaron.
Yeah.
So
that's
obviously we do have Aaron Sparrow here. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing great. It's a good week. How are you guys doing?
How's Doomface coming?
Doomface is coming along great. I'm lining up some artists right now, so we should have some art to reveal soon. Script, I'm just going back and forth on. Renzo has he's got certain pages that he's ready to draw and that he's working on. But as for the pages that he's not touching yet, I'm just like fine tuning things. I'm about to pass it around to people and ask them, is it funny or am I just in my own head? Is it good? Like, does it work? Does the premise come across? Because I always have that thing that right before, it's like I'm super confident while I'm working on something and I'm reading it and I'm like, this is good. And then right before I'm ready to release it, I panic and I'm like, maybe it's all in my own head. Maybe it's crap. And I pass it around to people to see what they think. So,
if you want someone to tell you that it's crap, send it to Doc. He'll do it free of charge and he'll let you know just how terrible it is.
Well, Doc is my sensitivity reader. So yes. I want to make sure that, he's going to look at it and he's going to make sure that I am properly insensitive, that I am not taking anybody's feelings into account whatsoever, and I am just roasting everything. So that's Doc's job on the book. He's my sweet baby ink.
I love that in old school when Vince Vaughn's like, we plan to offer no contribution to the community. We will help no one out whatsoever. We're only here for the party.
Yes. Yes.
That's exactly right.
We are not going
contributing nothing.
We are not going to lie and pretend like we actually give a shit about things we don't care about.
Anything else happening with you, Aaron, that people need to know about? You make any big appearances this week?
No big appearances this week. Right now I'm trying to decide between, am I going to go to Dallas Fan Expo this year or am I going to go to the San Jose Super Toy Show? They both fall on the same day or on the same weekend. So that's a little bit, it's obviously going to be cheaper to go to San Jose than it would be to go to Dallas Fan Expo. So I don't know. I guess it just depends on demand and whether or not I can get any of the shows to comp anything. So we'll see how that goes. But no, other than that, just chilling out, having a good week. Should have some things to announce this month, so that'll be fun.
I thought you were going to say I was trying to choose between Critical Drinker and like Clownfish TV, and I'm just not sure who's going to get my time this week.
Oh, Drinker has not invited me on yet. I'm not sure he knows I exist, but but I'll probably be on Clownfish soon. You know, they're doing Derezzed again over there. They're doing their podcast, so I get to pop in on that every now and then and offer some insight.
Yeah, those guys are always great. And then last but not least, Doc, we've already talked about X-Men, you and I, in great detail for what, like 28 minutes talking about this X-Men reboot?
Yes, sir. And
that'll be up tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be up for everybody to listen to tomorrow. And if you want to hear the really harder version, you do it over on Patreon.
Well, that's true. Speaking of Patreon, we do have some Patreon shout outs that we need to get out there. Thank you to everybody for supporting us on Patreon. There's a link in the video description. If you are interested in supporting the channel over there, lots of bonus content, and you do get shout outs. We've got Vash87, who fights as the Necrotic, protecting the people of the Darkshire. Thank you very much to Maggie, who protects the people as the Neutrino, the protector of Subatomica. And thank you very much to Brad Frederick, who protects the cities as the Phantom Hero in the Invisible Isle. And finally, thank you very much to Change of Heart, who fights crime as the Spellbender and protects the people of Miami, the most magical city in the United States, as I'm told. And thank you very much to everybody. And like I said, definitely check that out. It's in the comments section of this particular video if you are interested in supporting the channel over there. We do have quite a few super chats already, so let's hear from the people. Federico de la Casa, the X-Men lineup seems like 1993 Jim Lee X-Men trading cards, poor version. I have low expectations, but at least there's no sign of Jerry Duggan or Vita Ayala. So we got that going for us, Aaron.
Yeah, that's fair. That's an absolutely fair. That announcement came out, and did you guys like Tom Brevoort's "Please Clap" moment, where he like tweeted out, "Surprisingly, not many people are talking about our trailer for the new X-Men." It's like, is it really that surprising? Is it really?
Is it? Yeah, there is no surprise.
This doesn't feel like 1990s Jim Lee X-Men to me, Aaron.
No, he's saying it feels like the poor trading card version. And if you look at the covers, it really does. Remember how they used to do those 9-panel, you put them all in your little sleeve and you'd have a whole picture. It feels like they tried to do that with these covers. But I was looking at it and I was like, who is that? And then everybody's reading the description. They're like, oh, that's Temper. And I'm like, okay, that's character stupid. Shouldn't be there. And then I saw all the character designs for Exceptional X-Men and they're all trash. So I liked your video on it, Wes, where you were like, yeah, this is the book that's going to be easily skippable. And you were absolutely right, because those designs are terrible. The concept's terrible. And look, we've got decades upon decades now of Tom Brevoort tweets telling you that he just doesn't care. And he especially doesn't care about the X-Men. So this is all going to be phoned in. They're just going to try to spam out as many books as they can with as many covers as they can and bump sales temporarily. But this is not a return to form. This is not anything to get excited about. It's just more of the same.
Lane says, "Hey Doc, don't forget your review of Suffering, Jackpot, and Black Hat #1 is coming for you in 2 weeks. Super excited, and you can't wait the personal F-bomb for having you read it."
I know it's I'm kind of dreading it, but I have not forgotten about it whatsoever.
A lot of people like to do this to you. Not only is Lane obviously really excited about this, he's been thinking about it for months now. But Jim, when we do our Hot or Not podcast on the Patreon, he will specifically say, "This is the comic book that you should absolutely make Doc review." Because
Doc should be mad at me. Yeah, I'm actually the filter. That is the final deal of, should I get Doc to read? Yes, you should. And then we giggle. We giggle when we say it.
I don't. This feels like a bridge too far, and Jim's like, "There's no bridge too far with Doc."
Do it.
Yeah, it is that final deal of me just saying, I need to hear Doc lose his mind when he does this. But with that, though, I will say to Doc that at least it's things that I've already suffered through. So I do end up sharing the pain.
Yeah, I know. And that's where I do give you credit. You you don't put it entirely on me.
No.
So
it is fun, though I love when Wes asks me, like, what? Well, should we have Doc do this? And it just makes me laugh every time. I'm like, yes, you should. Yes, you should.
Not my fault. Callum says, I liked Aaron's doc moment, and I agree. I don't want to see people use media as a platform to use their own personal therapy sessions. So you had a little breakdown there, Aaron, this week.
Yeah, I lost it on one of the videos when we started talking, and I started going into the fact that these books are used by therapy by these absolute lunatics that need mental help, and instead of getting a job where they have some medical benefits because they can't work those types of jobs, they just get into comics, and then they make us all suffer through their their struggle sessions. And I had a doc moment. I lost it and started ranting. I don't know.
Eventually,
man.
you give into it and you just become Doc.
Everybody pray for me.
Doc's got the hook cloak on. He's like, yes, give into it.
Yeah.
Let it breathe through you, Aaron.
The hate is swelling in you now.
And Nerd wants to know, Aaron, where's Perch?
Perch is out there weaving the rich and varied tapestry that is his life.
I know he flew somewhere this week. I'm not sure if he came back, but I imagine he's out on the road doing a little business or something like that. Cal also says Invincible is finally back on, but in the trailer they teased a character called Anissa, who's a very controversial character. Why is that, Doc? You're the big Invincible guy. Why is Anissa controversial?
If I tell you that, I will literally spoil
the show, huh?
Yes, I will spoil the show. Let's just say that.
How's this? Are you excited in a good way or a bad way about Anissa showing up in Invincible?
In a good. Well, I'm concerned in a bad way because I don't think that they're going to do what they did in the comic. I think they are going to tone it way the fuck down.
I think I know what this is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it in the private chat.
Yes. And so I'm pretty sure they're going to tone it way, way, way down from what they did in the comic, it'll kind of take away some of the impact of it. It won't make Anissa such a terrible person.
Very nice. Federico de la Casa. Aaron, we do not see you and Perch at the same time. I guess insinuating that you're the same person. You don't have the same voice, though.
Oh, man, we don't. But, man, if Perch wants to trade places with me, I might be willing to take that offer.
But I've seen Perch. You guys aren't the same person.
No.
He's not bald.
But have you seen Perch and I at the same time? Like, just one day you're going to be, you're going to be talking to Perch, and all of a sudden it's been me, Aaron, the whole time.
Dark Admiral March here. The Misadventures of Jim needs to be a comic.
Yeah.
Where would you put that, Jim? Would that be in like the self-help section? Would it be
again cautionary tales?
You would be worried because it might be me working out my therapy, but it might be needed with me. I don't know. Yeah, it would be just I don't even know. Disaster is what it would be right there. It'd be bad.
But all the stories are true, right, Jim? You're not just like fucking with us.
They're true. No, I'm not. I wish I was. It's one of those things I said to you on our Hot or Not podcast at the one point where I'll go through like a couple days and I'll think, I'm not going to have anything to say this week. And then something completely ridiculous happens. And I just kind of, as I'm falling down the stairs or whatever it is at that point, I have a smile on my face that I'm like, oh, I get something to mention again. Something has happened. And I don't even leave the house is the worst part. That's probably why it's a little less than it used to be. I just kind of sit around and things happen.
Every time you say everything's looking up Jim, bad things happen.
Yeah, the weird thing is nobody's ever said that in my life. Basically, like most people have nicknames for me that end up being a variant of like Master of Disaster. It's usually what the nickname is, but it's never me doing it. It's just bad luck. It's bad luck. Karma, it is.
Very nice. Calb says Friday Night Tights talked about the stupid magical N-word movie with Clifton Duncan, who I highly recommend an invite. The talk was brilliant.
I like Clifton Duncan a lot. I follow him on Twitter.
I've seen him on Twitter, but I've not seen that conversation.
He was I think like a Broadway actor, and he came out against the vax and basically was blackballed. So he switched over to being
he's a trained actor and he's got a fantastic voice, hasn't he, Aaron?
Yeah, he absolutely does. And
gorgeous delivery.
I think he's crowdfunding a biopic about Thomas Sowell, I think.
Ooh.
Okay.
So that might be really interesting. Yeah, no, having Clifton on would be great.
Shit, I'd do it. Absolutely. He also says the words they used about the movie is condescending, extreme self-loathing, and progressives are perhaps the most racist and insecure people. That sounds like a great movie, huh?
Mm.
Would you watch that one, Breen? You seem like you're open-minded.
Absolutely. I would watch hell out of Thomas Sowell biopic too.
Oh, I would definitely do the Thomas Sowell biopic. That dude's a genius. He's lived a very, very interesting life. So, I don't know.
You know, I recommend over this this Society of Magical Negroes movie is instead watch a movie called American Fiction, which is basically kind of taking the piss out of movies like this, because it's a study in kind of the soft bigotry of progressives and the way that they view and they treat Black people and their stories. So American Fiction was absolutely great.
And finally, Lane says, Doc, I am picking up the comic too. So he's also suffering. So you're not going to do it alone.
Hey, that's fine. I appreciate you also taking one for the team.
Absolutely. Everyone needs to take one in the nuts every once in a while. And then we've got Odin, you're 87. Morning, gents. What X-Men runs would you recommend reading instead of watching Disney's take on X-Men, the animated series? So, Breen, you're a longtime comic book reader, but you're not the X-Men head that Doc or even Aaron Sparrow are. Are there any X-Men runs that you just go, man, that's the one that you should read?
Anything up to, for me, it's basically anything up to issue 200. I mean, not in anything, basically anything Claremont wrote, I'm fine with. It's, yeah, I say every time I pick one up and read, I go, man, I forgot how good this stuff. I also forgot how long it takes to read one of them.
What about the Stan and Jack stuff? Do you like the Roy Thomas X-Men stuff?
Yes, but from more of a comic book historian perspective. I mean, we've been reading some of the early X-Men on the Geeky Puppet Show, and we had Joe on with us last week reading one of them, and he had to stop like 3 or 4 times during the reading and go, "This is awful." And I go, "Well, thanks for shattering that illusion." but he's not 100% wrong. I mean, let's be honest. It's as fun as those are to read. Yeah, the Claremont version, like I said, I mean, I'm not telling anything anybody doesn't already know. It's as good as it gets.
So Doc,
really, anywhere in there.
Doc, if there's a particular fan that really likes X-Men the animated series from the 90s, is there somebody that had a really good take on a version of that team?
Not really, because a lot of that team never really existed in the comics. The closest thing you have is
the Chris Sims stuff, right?
No, yeah, that was garbage. I mean, you could go and pick up the old X-Men Adventures stuff, which was basically X-Men the animated series, the comic. It wasn't very good in my opinion, but it had the same vibe as the as the cartoon. But as I said, like that team that showed up in the cartoon never existed in the comics.
Would you suggest people go read the Steve Fox thing where he tried to recreate Krakoa with the cartoon characters?
Oh, that House of 92.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I would not.
Not a good one.
No, because I would never willfully recommend anyone purchase something by Steve Fox. I'm pretty sure that would get you tried in The Hague if you forced that upon a prisoner. That absolutely is a fucking war crime.
So everyone's saying just stick with the Chris Claremont classic run. It begins obviously with Giant Size X-Men with Len Wein. Chris Claremont picks it up. It becomes Uncanny X-Men. And you've got 16 years of excellence before you needed to go off to anything else. That'll take you at least a year to read anyway. So
yeah, you have from 94 Well, giant-sized X-Men and then Uncanny or X-Men 94, all the way up until 281. Then you have issues 1 through 3 of the Adjectiveless series. But honestly, continue reading Uncanny through that. Really until the end of the Joe Kelly and Steve Siegel run. It ends up, I mean, it drops off periodically, and there's some missteps in there, but there was some missteps during the Claremont run that I didn't particularly like either. He'd have a short story arc that wasn't all that great, but they were knocking it out in one to 2 issues. So if you didn't like this issue, just wait for the next one. It's not the same way as it is now. Like for modern readers, especially folks that have more started in the post 2000 era, the idea of 4 to 6 issue story arcs, that was not a thing. It didn't exist.
There you go, buddy. We got some great suggestions for you there. I do appreciate everyone supporting the channel. Now let's get into our big thing. We did have the South by Southwest panel. Top report, CB Cebulski, Jed McKay, Gail Simone being there, and Aaron Sparrow. We are told that they have 3 flagship titles. We got X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, and Exceptional X-Men. I took the stance that if you have 3 flagship titles, you actually have no flagship titles. Was your hair blown off when you saw this big revelations?
No, I was actually underwhelmed, as it turned out, because I didn't see anything there that, one, we weren't kind of already prepped for, which was Gail Simone coming onto one of the books, and then Jed McKay being announced. I've liked some of Jed's stuff, I've disliked some of Jed's stuff, so it was just kind of like, all right. And then Eve Ewing was maybe the surprise, but a surprise to be sure, but not necessarily a welcome one. This is a person who was hired because they had the same haircut as Ironheart, and granted, I will give Eve Ewing this. She did a better job with that character than Ryan Michael Bendis did. But still, that it didn't light the world on fire. And I just I think that's definitely going to be the weakest book. But I absolutely agree with you. There's no flagship here. They're just going to spam out a bunch of titles. You're going to get the second wave is where we'll really see where this relaunch is going to go. Because we'll see which talentless hacks they bring in to write Phoenix, to write Storm. We already know the politics that'll be involved. A woman has to write Phoenix. And by the way, why is Jean Phoenix again? Who cares? That's so tired and played out. Just Jean Grey is much more interesting than Phoenix at this point. Unless, like you said, X, they bring in Echo, and then that book is dead on arrival. You're gonna have to find a black woman to write Storm. Just the politics of current Marvel almost guarantee that we're not going to get a good line out of this. You've got to be hiring writers that have the chops, and that should be the first concern. Not what's the demographics of this character, and which boxes do we have to check to match the character. Instead, you should be bringing on decent writers.
What did you think, Jim? Obviously, you were a bit newer to X-Men. You're more of a DC guy, but now you kind of cover everything. The Krakoan era has been difficult to maintain interest in. Does this got you really peaked?
No, I'll check them out. I will give it a chance. But
it's our job.
I agree with Aaron as well. Like, as you're going through this, it just ends up feeling like, this isn't going to be a big change. And then I ended up like talking to some people who, are bigger X-Men fans than me, and they're not excited. And then I was really worried. But yeah, when you have you're right, 3 books, it just feels weird when one of them's called Exceptional X-Men, and you have Eve Ewing on, who never did anything that got past 12 issues. And it seems, as we're even announcing that her Black Panther's canceled, and we're going to have the final, like, you end up where that just feels like, why is it that watered down already in this initial announcement that you have this Exceptional X-Men team with Eve Ewing on it? That doesn't feel like a big thing. Maybe
but come on, Jim. It's going to be exceptional because that's the title, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so maybe just announce X-Men and Uncanny X-Men and maybe keep that exceptional for later. But even reading, some of the synopsis, they're kind of very vague and very generic. So I just think this is that, hey, you didn't like Krakoa? Well, here's something else, but there's not much thought into it. It's just kind of thrown together.
The thing that kind of threw me off, Gray, is that it appears that the foundation of what this new era of X-Men is is full of X. It doesn't sound like they're doing anything to show you a new status quo. It's just leading into this. And I think building your foundation on something that's so divisive in a lot of cases of X-Men fans is just kind of detrimental. It kind of gives you a reason to like, well, they're going to be, directly tying into that stuff. Maybe not.
For me, you've got to have a new start. You've got to have a fresh slate. Just go for it. Begin it again. Bring these new writers in. Give them a chance. The artists look good, to be fair, don't they? The artists are great, but I'm not sure about the writers so far. I want to give them a chance. You know what I'm like, Wes. I'm very positive. I always want to give new writers a chance, but I got to say, Eve Ewing, I'm sorry, but that is not giving me much confidence.
Yeah, I was hoping that at one point we would see at the end of this that all of a sudden Scarlet Witch just whispers no more bullshit, and then it just resets is what I really was hoping for. I think that would have worked out.
Yeah, I noticed there's no Charles Xavier, so apparently he's not going to be a big part of any of this.
No,
he's going to end up probably in prison again. When this happens, they'll do it. I think you're going to see a little bit of that Kelly and Siegel hunt for Xavier type storyline coming out of this. That's where a lot of this is going to set up. It's kind of my bet on it. I could be wrong. I possibly am, but these. It's quite predictable where they're going. They're very begrudgingly leaving Krakoa. They're not really changing any of the vibe. They're changing the creative team, sure. They're changing the setting. This seems like a hodgepodge. I said this on. With Wes when we were talking about this for Patreon, that the Cyclops team feels like a reversion back to the Kieran Gillen Extinction team from Uncanny X-Men Volume 2. The Eve Ewing one feels like it's going back to Generation X, sort of, but with Kitty in the place of Banshee, but them not in Boston. They're just in Chicago, and they're going to end up doing a school there. And in some ways, so you got a little bit of the the early 2010s. You got a little bit of the 90s, and then you have a little bit of the 80s here, with the Rogue, Gambit, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, and inexplicably Jubilee. And honestly, this feels. Remember whenever that quote unquote rumor about the X books initially came out, and there was half of it that seemed like one idea, half of it that had like a bunch of Rob Liefeld influence that seemed like a completely different idea, and that's the part that didn't happen. The other part looks like it's all happening. The only thing granted, we haven't. The one thing that is surprising is we're not seeing Miss Marvel kind of shoehorned into this.
I was shocked,
as a central character. Even in the kind of teases for the round 2, unless she ends up part of Excalibur, NYX, or one of those, the cast of one of those other ancillary books. I was legit surprised that they didn't shoehorn her in here, because they've been telegraphing that for a couple of years.
Doc, sorry to interrupt.
NYX. I'm sorry, go ahead, Greg.
I want to hear 3 new books, okay? Anybody you can bring on. Who would you have to write the 3 new books to get you excited? 3 creators to do that. Come on.
Honestly, I could for in a reasonable world, considering I know a number of the creators that they approached that told them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, I heard this.
Take those folks out. Your Remenders, Bendis, Morrison,
Miller,
Miller, all those guys. Take every one of them out of the hat. The ones that they maybe didn't approach, but that are available out there. I could see Joe Kelly and Fabian Nicieza as the two kind of headliners, and with Gale on the third one. That I wouldn't have hated. I would have said the Gale book is probably the weakest here, but now the Gale book's probably the second weakest out of, only because e-viewing's there. Mostly because Jed McKay's written some good, some bad, as Aaron pointed out. Gale hasn't written anything of consequence in 15 years. I mean, and it's at her peak, she was a solid B tier writer, maybe. Maybe upper C, something in that range. But that was 15 years ago, Gale,
and there was always the caveat. There was always the caveat of the top female writer. Like she's never put into the upper echelon of top writers. It was always with the female caveat.
Yes, exactly. But Gale, for the last 12 to 15 years, what's she been on? What's sold? What's
Twitter? She's been on Twitter.
Nothing.
Nothing. What's sold? What's lasted longer than 6 issues? What's actually had a lot of critical acclaim, because whether I liked it or not, she got a lot of respect for her Secret Six book that she did, and I don't know. I never bothered to read it because I had already kind of burned out on Gale by then. But a lot of people like it, so maybe. But we don't have a fucking time machine. We're not going to get in 2008 Gale Simone. We're getting 2024, and that's been kind of a. I don't want to say complete that disaster, but incredibly below par. But if
Peter David or Robert Venditti,
you know what? I've
Peter's
never.
sick.
Yeah, Peter's sick.
Still got a GoFundMe.
I know. Yeah,
I don't know if he can do a monthly right now just because of his health. Although for his health, the monthly paycheck and everything would probably be.
Yeah.
It'd probably make him better, or at least help. But I don't want to get into speculating on people's medical conditions. That's beyond our.
Sure.
But assuming he was capable of it, like have him on X Factor. Have him.
Yeah.
Hell,
awesome.
I mean, has he said all he needed to? He's done what 250 issues of X Factor. Has he said everything that he needs to say on that? Maybe, but maybe you give him the Wolverine solo title. Maybe you give him. I mean, obviously they can't give him the Storm book. But they're bringing back an X-Force book, and that might be decent.
I don't know, Doc. I feel like Heidi McDonald would tell you that nobody wants to see Peter David on the X-Men. Who wants that? Old people.
Yeah, old people. The same way
who?
that nobody.
Aaron, who?
Nobody. Yeah. Noted propagandist. Heidi McDonald.
Crazy.
Because her utter and complete corruption automatically disqualifies her for the title of journalist, whether she likes it or not.
Okay.
But regardless, I mean, I can see, Fabian and Joe Kelly they're both available and both still working. And they're not. Neither of those guys are so fundamentally tied to the 90s. They weren't the extreme type writers. Joe Kelly's really evolved his writing style over the years. He can still write, and I'd love to see Joe Casey on an X book again, because I've never felt that he really got a chance to say anything.
Okay,
he kind of, he's done some X-Men work in the past, but he was always overshadowed. So that's ideas.
So, Breen, you have not been, you're not the biggest X-Men fan here, but you have been or shown a willingness to jump back in when DC and Marvel provide something that you think is interesting. How is Marvel going these days for you? Because I know you dipped your toes in Dawn of DC and we're enjoying a couple titles. Obviously, you stuck with Green Lantern and Superman. Is there anything at Marvel you could even enjoy right now?
Well, first, I want to comment on something Doc was talking about earlier. Gail Simone, once everything she learned from Chuck Dixon fell out of her head, that was the end of her as a good writer, which lasted up to about that Secret Six or whatever that was. Because once she went from Gail Simone, Chuck Dixon protege to Gail Simone Twitter personality, that's it. And I don't know if there's no pressure for her to find that skill again. So I have little faith in that book being anything worth reading. As far as Marvel, the only thing I'm looking forward to at Marvel is there is a Alex Ross, Sue Storm is like a Torch Singer Noir cover coming up in 2 months that looks really good. But just like with the George Perez variant on the Ryan North Fantastic Four, I don't plan on opening the book.
Well, that's sad. You're looking forward to a variant cover.
Yeah, it's a really nice cover.
I'm sure it is.
There's nothing at Marvel. I mean, we talk about like the X-Men book. Eve Ewing got her start because she had the same hairstyle as a character she lobbied to write. Now she's writing an X-Men book, shockingly set in her town, which shows a staggering lack of imagination. So what are we going to get out of that? A lot of scenes in Chicago,
a lot of talking.
bistros. And maybe they'll go to Wrigley Field to watch the White Sox because she doesn't know the Cubs play. They're out.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just Ultimate Spider-Man I really like, but that's not part of the Marvel so-called 616 or whatever. There's nothing there.
The only in-continuity book I think has been really good was Incredible Hulk, and even that one, the last issue, wasn't all that great.
Like I said, the best, the A-list writer for Marvel that they've got on this new thing, Jed MacKay, he's good, I guess, but I mean, there'll never be a time where I go, Jed MacKay's on a book, I got to get it. And that includes Moon Knight because I've read, I've already read, the early '80s run. It's not as good as it's not even the same character anymore. But so I don't know. I just not seen anything here that is going to bring me back. It would have to be like Peter David. That would work. I would come back for him.
Me too.
Nothing in here that that tightens up the jeans a little bit. Yeah, nothing really. I mean, is it abysmal? No. I mean, I can think of worse, but there is no sane planet where Jed MacKay should be one of your top 2 or 3 writers. Top writer.
Well, he's their top 1 writer. He's on Avengers and X-Men.
Yeah, I mean, there is no sane world where you should have your top 2 or your top 3 franchises, Spider-Man, Avengers, and X-Men, written by guys named Zeb and Jed. I'm sorry.
I'm going to change my name to Jed Sparrow and see if I can land a gig.
Yeah, like there is
I'm
no
Jed
sane.
said.
There is no sane world.
Well, dog,
where that
Jed
happens.
is good, but he's not had time. He's not had time to become great. So he's not great yet. He's good. He's decent, but he's too young. He's too early. You can't give him this top title, can you?
He's been in comics at Marvel for almost 15 years.
15, okay.
Yeah, he started in the early 2012, I think
He
2011,
can't write villains at all.
2009. I mean, look.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Zeb Wells, Jed MacKay, these are guys that their peak would have been, okay, say the 1980s. they'd have been writing their big break would have been the writer on Web of Spider-Man.
Okay.
On Marvel, not Marvel, whatever the like common or over like continuing story was in Marvel Comics Presents. Because they always had that one that was kind of like the long, and then there was like the 2 backups or 3 backups. And then they moved on to a different
Jed over Zeb any day.
But my point is, these are guys that their peak, most of these creators, their peak, the level of their competency that they were ever going to achieve would have been the C title in a franchise. The only reason that any of them are on the A title of a franchise is pure and complete entropy in the talent pool.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
So, Jim, obviously, you and I are reading basically everything from Marvel and DC, all the big titles. And Jed is on the Vengeance of the Moon Knight, which is fine. His Avengers is lackluster. His Doctor Strange is essentially aimless at this point. You know, he's done Taskmaster. It feels like the Moon Knight thing is an aberration. Like, it's pretty good, but all the other stuff is pretty nondescript.
Yeah, it is. And that's where you get a lot of these writers where they have a character that becomes popular and people enjoy it, and they keep going back to that. Like, you're like, man, I'm not really liking Jed MacKay much. And Moon Knight's awesome, but they also mean Moon Knight from like a year and a half ago, and they also avoid like. And then you say, well, what about all that Doctor Strange stuff? And they don't even know that. What? I don't know about that. And that's kind of what he is. Like Doc said, there's nothing that in my mind is like, oh my God, I have to read this because it's Jed MacKay. Yeah, the Moon Knight stuff, people will say, well, he's good at that and go on. And there are writers like that, you know, even bigger writers, that it's like that one thing and then they kind of
But he's not a big name, is he, Jim? He's not a big name yet at all.
And somebody, that's what kind of like gets me a little scared about all this in comics in general. And we've talked about even, you know, Tynan being, you know, raised up. Well, we're in this idea that everybody's working on a curve here and are pushed up. But yeah, Jed MacKay, you know, maybe this would have been a little more exciting, like I said, about a year and a half ago, but there's a lot of other things he's done. And he cannot write villains. I say that even in Moon Knight, those villains, I mean, were just, one was basically a Ponzi scheme of vampires that got taken down by the sprinklers being blessed with, like, this isn't very good. And I'm not even liking the reboot, you know, the newer Moon Knight either, and it's just some of these same. And
what about
Avengers,
it? Won't happen. But if Donny
awful.
Cates was brought back, it won't happen. I know that. But would you take Donny Cates over Jed MacKay?
Yeah, I would. And there's a lot, and there's a list of writers that seem to have turned this down, and then that's when you realize, like, I get it now. I see why we're going to this, and it feels like.
Why are they turning it down? Is it about money?
Who knows? Maybe
it's a poison brand.
Yeah, they don't want to get involved in the brand right now.
That's so sad to hear that, Doc. Oh my God.
Mind if I add something?
No, go.
I forgot to mention it. A friend of mine, Zach Richmond, he was in chat earlier, recommended the latest issue of Avengers. And what he said was, he goes, they brought in Avengers 201, after a big storyline, they had a cover with Jarvis, holding a vacuum like it was a weapon. But there's a side story where this bully's been terrorizing his mother's neighborhood. And he goes and basically boxes the guy's ears in. It's a much bigger redhead. Well, that redhead is now training under him to be an apprentice butler. And I thought, okay, I give him points for remembering that, because that's an obscure story from 40 plus years ago. The comic itself was dreadful. I think he got sick and barfed up the villains.
He had bad
and they're running around, and they're out in space in a new, I don't know what the hell it is, and it's just, like I said, I didn't recognize any of the characters. Thor and Black Panther are joking with each other, and Carol, of course everybody's deferential to her because she's wonderful. It's like, I guess my takeaway was Thomas Wolfe was right. You can't go home again. Avengers were my favorite title as a kid. I read that, and it's like, there's nothing, Wes. Nothing.
There's kind of like one piece of big news, like one kind of A-list creator on this one, Sparrow. And it is it's actually Greg Capullo, who they didn't even mention within, I guess, the announcement. But we know because he said he's going to be illustrating Wolverine. But right now, the big rumor is that it's going to be Saladin Ahmed writing Wolverine. And I just can't imagine Marvel making that big of a mistake. I can't believe Tom Brevoort would be that stupid to waste Greg Capullo on a writer.
I can imagine
that is so nondescript.
I can imagine it quite easily. No,
but Capullo on Wolverine sounds great.
That would be great. It would be amazing.
Can he write?
And now,
at this point, I'd let him write it rather than put Saladin Ahmed on that book. It's going to be better than anything Saladin Ahmed does.
Yeah, I mean, look, this you can tell very clearly. I mean, Carmen Carnero. Okay, I don't particularly like. I mean, I don't dislike her stuff, but it's not spectacular either. I think it's all right.
I'm not even a huge Stegman fan, honestly.
Yeah, Stegman's already done Wolverine, and it wasn't that great. Granted, he got stuck with it during the Paul Cornell Wolverine has no powers and carries a gun and has claws on his like attached to his forearms because he can't pop his claws or else he'll fucking bleed to death because he doesn't have a healing factor. Like they've done that before, and it wasn't that great, but I mean it could have been the story he was handed. But I mean when's the last time he did more than 6 issues? Venom?
Yeah, and Capullo's not sticking around. They're not spending that money for that long.
No, not long term. And this is the thing. This initial launch, Marquez, Stegman, Carmen Carnero, Greg Capullo, they're trying to sell us with the artists. They know that they're not selling us with the writers.
Yeah, 100%.
And the artists are not that much of a hard sell. Like it's just not. It's not something that's particularly. They don't have any superstars left.
Capullo's the closest guy there to someone that actually puts an ass in a seat. All the rest of them are they're competent. They're very good. I like them. Yeah. David Marquez is fine. Stegman's great. Carmen Carnero is pretty good. They're the kind of artists that fans get excited to when they're coming on to a book that they are currently reading, but they don't start buying a book that they're not reading. That's where the line is. Are they going to pick up a book that they wouldn't just because this artist's on it? And I don't think that any of these, granted, I don't think there's many artists at all in the industry right now that have that effect. But
what about what Mark Miller did with Big Game last year? Yeah, he brought these like big artists like for like one story or one issue.
I thought that was the
Ambassadors. On X-Men?
Yeah,
could he do that?
The Ambassadors.
That was the Ambassadors.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
But really, if that was done by Jed McKay and not Mark Miller, does it have that same impact? No.
It's tough when
you're right.
It's really tough when nobody wanted to touch these books and your writing team ends up being the who's who of who's left. That's already a hard sell. And then when you don't have when you've got good artists that people like, but you don't have superstar artists, it's just kind of a recipe for meh. And that's why it got the non-reaction that it did. That's why Tom Brevoort was out there going, "Please clap," because nobody cared.
Yeah, he had a straight up Jeb Bush moment. You got Jed McKay on stage for a Jeb Bush moment. Jesus Christ!
Did he even ask the Cretans to clap?
Yes, he even he just said please clap. He meant it in the most broad sense because he can't just say only the good people clap because the good people already are really mad at him for getting rid of Orgy Island.
That's true. His commentary, like when he posted that, there was not an overwhelming amount of people responding to him, but there were those people that are saying like, you need to keep X-Men queer. You're turning away from a huge readership, and I'm like, the numbers don't back that up at all. Where is this huge readership? You keep saying this huge readership.
Yeah, it's weird to say that when things got canceled, right? It's the classic. Like something gets canceled, like, oh, you just lost a bunch of no, you didn't lose anything. Right? People weren't there. No,
I'm not going to pirate any more of these.
Yeah.
The majority of people still buying X-Men right now are people that are just buying it, not reading it, and just putting it in their collection because that's what they've done.
They've turned into ASM.
Is it that bad now?
Mm-hmm. It's that bad. It's that bad. Nobody's excited about it. Nobody's talking about it. The only people that are talking about it are the people that pirate it, and they're mad that it's going away. You know, of course, it's not really going away. They're going to try to give everybody their cake and eat it too. There's a flavor of X-Men for everybody, and it's not going to work because the line's not going to be cohesive.
What about you? Who would you like to see on X-Men?
Me?
Yeah.
Man, if I were doing the X-Men book, I probably would have tried to bring Donnie back, but I can understand why that would be completely unfeasible.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best, I guess the one superstar-ish kind of writer they have is Hickman, so you can't bring him back. I would probably try to get Scott Snyder or somebody like that. Somebody that had that could bring some impact on it.
At the dawn of time, the X-Men.
Yes, it would.
Boring. Sorry.
It would probably be good for a year and a half, and then it would.
I'm just waiting for the announcement that Lansing and Kelly are on the book, and then we'll get.
That's coming. That's coming. It's coming.
Christopher Cantwell is going to be on a book.
Yep, Christopher Cantwell
is going to be on a book. These are all the people that Revord has been working with for 3 years.
Feels like bargain bin bloody basement writers. What's going on?
I put Philip Kenny Johnson should be on one of the books.
He should be on Wolverine.
If they would, I mean, if they could have kept Snyder from deciding that the X Gene God was somehow involved in this, the thing that he would create for it, and stuck Snyder and Capullo on Uncanny X-Men.
Okay.
You would have had a beast of a title, at least as your. It would have been a draw.
Would have been a headliner.
At least that's the thing. It would have been something that it felt like, okay, this is going to be big, and we actually are getting big people to do it, and people want to do it. When you end up having the 3 titles and one has e-viewing on it, it just you realize that there's not much going on. That they're having problems.
Well, in fairness, though, this has been Marvel's, I guess, MO for most of the past 10 years, which is. Stick a good artist with a bad writer or a good writer with a bad artist because they think it'll balance it out and they're able to spread their talent pool. They're very, very thin talent.
Is that because they're cheap? Are they cheap now, Doc, to do that?
It's cheapness, but it's also, well, you got them.
You got to allocate resources. You got 80 books going out, and you got maybe 10 people that move the needle.
Yeah.
Yes. So they try to. You got about 5 or 6 artists and about 5 or 6 writers that'll move the needle. So now, instead of only having 5 or 6 books that move the needle, they think that by pairing the bad writer and a good artist and the bad artist and a good writer, that it'll make you now 10 or 12 books.
They can double it at least. But that's the problem
crazy
is thinking,
they end up with only marginally more than the bad writer and bad artist on fucking Squirrel Girl. They don't. There's not that disparity. I mean, granted, hey, look, for Marvel, they've hit the thing that they've wanted, which was equity. Its problem is it's equity in sales, and it's also at the floor. So
to Doc's point, I was going to say to Doc's point of the X-Men being a damaged brand. We've got a great comment from the Bastards Network saying X-Men is O'Doul's that was left in Dad's garage and it went flat, and that's basically what this franchise is now.
Yeah,
I was going to say just have some of these writers use their middle name. Yes, they have 3 names and fool people into thinking they're better writers.
And you need a Kennedy, or it has to be Kennedy in the middle.
We do have some people chiming in. Let's head to this. The Bastards Network says DC has been abhorrent with their Women's History Month covers and stories. The last 2 weeks have generally had only lesbian scenes in a minimum of 5 series. That sounds about right, Aaron.
Yeah, huge lesbian audience for superhero comic books. You didn't know?
9 whole lesbians.
It does suck whenever there's a new character introduced, Jim. Like, if it's a female character.
Yeah.
Especially if they're a minority character, they have to be a lesbian.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of odd, isn't it?
It's weird.
It does happen, and the problem I have with it isn't just that; it's that's where you begin and end the character work of it. It just isn't really anything beyond that, and you just kind of like, okay, and it becomes another generic character that disappears
until June.
Yeah, exactly. And it is one of those things. I think there are some writers that are like, okay, if I get this character out every June, I'll be on the issues, and I'll have a thing I could do each year. Does seem to be a thing.
Yeah, if I can claim it as my character, no one else will be allowed to touch it, and I'll at least have that one gig every year.
Yeah,
that'll supplement my GoFundMes.
Exactly.
Kaiser
like
Jose wants
conventions.
Mark Russell on X-Men. Like
no.
Yeah, that's why I told him he was blocked.
Yeah.
Michael Bober says, "Good day, y'all. Here's a small gratuity." Well, thank you very much for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. I hope you are enjoying the conversations about this X-Men relaunch, and we always tend to go in a million different directions, but that's part of the charm of the show. It's supposed to feel like you're in your comic shop having a good conversation. Caleb says, "Did they waddle when they walked on panel?" And we all know CB only wants one thing. He probably took pictures of the buffet. There was a picture of some chicken.
There's nothing left to take a picture of when he.
That picture had Tom Brevoort standing in front of him.
That great picture. There was a great picture where it was. I can't remember where I saw it, but it was the panel, and it was the thought balloons of each person. And
that was Jim.
Was that Jim? Was that you, Jim?
Yeah, that was me.
Tom and CB both thinking of lunch, and Gail thinking of Twitter. I can't remember what Jed McKay was thinking of, but
he was thinking of Tom.
Oh, that's right, because he was leaning in.
Should have been looking for an exit.
Yeah, and the food they were thinking of was actually the Tom Brevoort chicken nonsense that he was
so excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were hyped about South by Southwest, the fried chicken.
You got some fried chicken in a styrofoam container. The highlight of my life. Yeah. I don't care about comic books, but man.
Let me put on my fancy hat.
This made it all worth it.
It's his fancy fedora.
Yeah.
What type of hat? What type of hat is that? It's not a fedora, right? What is it like? Is it like a pork pie hat? What is that? What is that hat called?
I don't know.
It actually probably has a pork pie hidden underneath it, so it probably would be a pork pie hat.
He thinks that is as delightful as White thinks that little curl that he does on his balding hair is like
the
weird.
Spit curl and the stubble mustache.
The undoable
combination,
playing the ukulele while riding a unicycle and trying to juggle,
and talking show. And having a haberdashery. I don't even know what a haberdashery is, but it's his emporium of unique
yelling that he's mad as a hatter.
Yes.
Welcome to Jordan White's haberdashery of earthly delight.
Oh my!
Nerd says overwhelmed, underwhelmed. Why isn't anybody just whelmed? Robin.
Young Justice.
So, Aaron, you are a crafter of language. You are a writer. Is the word whelmed even a word?
No, that's why it's funny. Everybody's like
doesn't make any
overwhelmed.
sense.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those things. One of those things like nobody's ever just whelmed. It's not just, like, how you doing? I'm whelmed. But Young Justice made it a thing, so people say it now.
Eric O'Sullivan, the Sultan of Soup himself. I heard your boy Zach say it succinctly earlier this week. Our Marvel doesn't exist anymore. I think that rings true in a way. Cheers to you all in the chat. Breen, it certainly does ring true. Like, there's not like this current 2-year span of Marvel has been atrocious.
Well, one of my favorite comments that I like to leave is when I put the Marvel epitaph 1961 to 2012. I haven't seen anything in 12 years now that makes me come off of that.
You didn't like Donny Cates' Venom run?
I was not really blown away by Venom on the last page of Spider-Man 299.
What about Immortal Hulk? That made Al Ewing the big superstar.
Well, here's back in those days when we were all fighting the culture wars, that prick blocked me the day after I commented complimentary things about Tom King, which will tell you how long ago that was.
Wow.
One of those guys?
How
dare you, Breen?
Well, it was before Batman went totally off the rails, and
never talk to your heroes.
It was during the Move the Needle thing, and he had back-to-back weeks. I got likes from Bendis and King a long time ago, and I said, and when Ewing blocked me, I said, "Well, F him." And so, from what I've heard about it, if you look at it as like an Elseworld story, it's fine. But I said, to me, I haven't had the last great Hulk story for me was Planet Hulk and everything that came after that. I haven't really been a fan of anything, past that.
Well, I get the feeling Jed McKay might be the Greg Pak of his time, where he's got the one story, and everyone just assumes he's a good writer. It just wasn't the case.
And I'm not being glib here, but what was the one story?
Planet Hulk.
I think it's Moon Knight.
Okay. Well, for Jed.
For Greg
Pak, it's
Asian writer Greg Pak.
It wasn't Taskmaster.
Was really good.
It's certainly not Taskmaster. That was awful.
I will say that on Planet Hulk, Greg Pak had an exceptional editor. He had Mark Panizia, and I know a lot of Mark Panizia's. That was a lot of his ideas. So Greg Pak was handed gold and was able to deliver gold. So it's pretty simple there. And I think when we're talking about Asian writer Greg Pak, we need to also say gay writer Al Ewing, because as we know, he's come out as a cost gayer recently. It's like I've always been gay. I've never kissed a man, never been with a man, never engaged in any gayness. But trust me, I'm gay.
The closest thing I even had to holding a man's hand was when I shook his hand.
Gay.
Right? He's always
said he was gay.
No, there's a lot of guys. Jeremy Whitley, Al Ewing, they want to come out and they want to say, they want to come out and they want to have that moment. They want the social credit so that they can continue to get work, because they realize being a straight white man in comics right now is probably not going to get you a lot of work. It probably is a disadvantage.
It is the most indirect version of gay for pay I have ever heard.
Yeah, you've got a lot of guys coming out right now saying that I've had gay thoughts, so that I'm gay. But then they always have that caveat. But I've never done any gay stuff, because they still want to be able to walk it back later if it becomes unpopular.
Caleb says, off topic, during Aaron's doc moment, you mentioned Warhammer. I don't think it will be touched because the fan base are like Berserk and Tolkien fans. What already happened to Tolkien, did it?
From your super chat to God's ears, let's hope that it doesn't happen. It did happen to Tolkien because Amazon, got involved and they did that atrocious Rings of
Billions
Power.
of dollars.
The nice thing is that what they delivered was such a joke, and nobody watched it, that it has not affected the actual Lord of the Rings at all. I just watched Return of the King last night. I had an absolute blast doing it. There was like a big thunderstorm, and I was like, this is a Lord of the Rings night. So I put on Return of the King. Still thoroughly enjoyed it in a way that I can't enjoy Star Wars anymore. So you may be right. Lord of the Rings may be untouchable. Warhammer may be untouchable, but they're going to try. And that's why we've got to stand firm, and we've got to say we're not letting any carpetbaggers into this fandom.
Federico de la Casa, how come you have Greg Capullo not team up with a heck of a writer? Probably they're still looking for one competent and available.
They might be, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised to find out that they're doing the Wolverine book, Marvel style, where basically Capullo's doing his whatever the fuck story he wants to right now, and they're gonna find somebody to come in and script it later.
Put Joe Casey on that book with him.
Oh God, I would fucking murder. I would literally knock the door down to my LCS to get that book.
You know who needs money right now and who is a good Wolverine writer? Larry Hama.
Yeah,
guy can't retire.
Yeah, give him money, give him a regular gig. I think between G.I. Joe and Wolverine, if he was back on that on a full-time basis, I think his finances would probably be doing a whole hell of a lot better, and he could probably set himself up for closer to a retirement.
And that would get his name out there more, so he could do conventions. He'd be getting more people, getting commissions from him. It would just improve his situation greatly.
Kalichi, okay, thoughts on DeMayo's firing on New X-Men 97? We are going to get that into a little bit. Did you have any just initial thoughts, Aaron?
Only that I think that it's got to be something pretty severe.
What is it that they said on Friday? You got to be real fucking stupid to get fired on your day off.
Well, I mean, that's the Disney way, though, right? Chapek's at an Elton John concert, and he gets the call. Oh, by the way, you're not CEO anymore. There was a coup.
Yeah. We'll get more to that, but certainly came out of nowhere. Pretty crazy stuff. A nerd says, Wes, when are you going to have EVS or Shane Davis or Chuck Dixon on? EVS once said there's so much speculation in the comic industry, but no one has these conversations with pros, ex-pros. So I've had EVS on the show a couple of times. I've had Chuck Dixon on the show a couple of times. I've never had Shane on, but I have certainly had a lot of pros on the show. Aaron Sparrow is a professional editor and comic book writer. We've certainly had Canetti on the show. He's a professional comic book artist. He trained under Jim Lee. So we've had lots of
Kari
comic book pros.
Andrews.
Kari Andrews was actually on an Aficionados as well. Who else we had? We had
Eric July.
Kevin Grievous.
Breen.
We've had Eric July, yeah. So we've actually had a lot of comic book pros. And Breen has probably written more comic books than any of them because he's got like 10,000 pages of script.
Yep.
Correct, Breen?
Sure.
You know who we should
Isn't that what you said?
We should see if John Byrne wants to come on, just so that it pisses off Heidi McDonald. All us olds can be excited.
I would love to have John Byrne on, but I'm afraid what he'd say to me. Everyone made him to be like this monster.
Demonetized.
He might actually come through your into the Philippines and punch you.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, go
Mark
stand
Miller.
in his front yard.
We had Mark Miller on the Comics Aficionados.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've had some pros talking about this kind of stuff.
You know what's weird to me?
We had
Todd
articles
McFarlane.
written over Mark Miller and what he
Wayne
was saying.
Gretzky.
Todd
Wayne
McFarlane
Gretzky
has
would be
never
great.
been on, but he'll go on these shows that have 4 subscribers and talk for 2 hours. That's like, come on, Todd, come on here.
Well, I'd love to have Todd McFarlane. I know they have like a little PR thing that you have to go through there, but maybe I should reach out. Perhaps he'd want to do it.
Tony Hawk's.
Tony Hawk?
Tony
Talking
Hawk,
about
I'd
skateboarding?
go.
Yes.
Or Yager.
Man,
We
do you
can have-
guys remember when he was in that Police Academy movie? Aaron, no, I know you remember. Was it Police Academy 3?
Yeah.
When they
Yeah.
recruited the skateboarders?
Yeah, that was a good time.
I remember
And
that.
Tony
I actually
Hawk, and
wa-
I think
I
Peralta
actually-
was in there too.
I actually watched him do like a reaction video talking about doing that. It was pretty good.
When is NECA going
Great
to
movie.
announce they're bringing back the Police Academy figures? That's what we need.
Absolutely. So thank you very much. Brian Pickard, Eve Ewing's Black Panther is terrible. As evidenced by it being stealth canceled again, Jim.
Yeah, it was terrible. That's why when certain people don't really
Ridley
enjoy
set the bar so
Ultimate
low
deal-
for
Oh,
her.
I know, and even then Ta-Nehisi Coates in space said it's been bad for a while. Why I'm liking Ultimate Black Panther even more than some people, even if it's basic. I just want something I can read and not get a headache, and then that's it.
There's current comic pros that we could probably get on. We could probably ask like Jeremy Adams or Joshua Williamson, but we also don't want to hurt their careers.
I don't want to ruin anyone's careers.
Yeah.
I bet Josh Williamson probably wouldn't come on. He's like the big guy at DC. But I could probably get some people on here, but I don't want anyone to be guilty by association or something, by laughing at the wrong joke or something.
Yeah.
So,
Jim, have you got a vendetta against Eve Ewing?
I
I'm just
may. People
asking for a
actually,
friend.
Do. I just end up where I just don't get it. She hasn't written that much, so maybe she might write something good eventually, but hasn't been. Really
Well, her dad wrote
com-
comics. Her dad wrote comics, so that was a big reason.
Oh, really?
She,
No, her dad read comics.
he read
Oh, there you go.
So when you get her on a book, you can confuse some people and they think it's Al Ewing and might buy it and then realize
It's the wrong Ewing.
yeah, it's the wrong one.
This is
It was
gay writer.
Hold up, fellas. We do have comment sets. Jed McKay and Josh Williamson are the same. Doc, you realize Cyclops in Temper, formerly Oya, is on the same team. Will Jed acknowledge Wolverine and Schism?
No, they won't even recognize it because I'm gonna bet that everyone involved has forgotten about it.
And Temper is the one that has the Iceman powers
She's Iceman and Pyro powers.
at the same time, yeah, because she's got
Yes.
fire and ice, but she's also riding ice in there.
Yeah.
I'd have rather had Equinox, the thermodynamic man, on the team. He has fire and ice powers.
There's a lot of people
Good
I would rather
callback.
have. There's a lot of people I would rather have on the team, mostly because again, this is
The Uncanny team is fine. That team's perfect. 5 characters.
yeah, it's 5 characters that people know and care about, and that's fine. All the rest of the teams are just who, and you don't need look, if there's one franchise at Marvel right now that does not need to add any additional characters, it's X-Men, because they have like 4 million and about 99% of them have never even been explored. Does anybody know? Does anybody even remember anything? You had what, about 12 issues of exploration of all the characters from that Generation Hope series where Oya came from. I remember that there was a dude that was kind of like Primal that was on that team, but where the fuck did he go? They ended up with, they add like 15 characters every time they do a relaunch. 14 of them get completely forgotten. Yet they just add another 15 on the next relaunch. And again, rinse and repeat.
Very nice. Kaiser Jose wants to know Gambit and Rogue versus Hulk. So this one's interesting, Doc, because Gambit would make no difference whatsoever versus Hulk. But Rogue could take his powers.
Rogue could take his powers theoretically. Gambit might actually be able to blow some stuff up that would hurt Hulk.
It would just annoy him.
Charge up
more
those
than
pants.
likely. Yes. Charge the purple pants and see what happens when they explode.
Yell some Cajun shit, you know.
No, that's what Jim. I just want him to yell some Cajun shit. I want that to be the actual dialogue.
Some Cajun shit, and then like,
unsolicited opinions of Israel.
Them.
You know, we've done that before.
Unsolicited opinions on
whatever.
But if Rogue gets her hands on Hulk, she could defeat him.
Yeah, she actually potentially could.
I don't think she can absorb that much of his power, because if you remember her, unless like they've amped her up or they've changed her powers, like remember when she tried to train Juggernaut, there's only so much that she can take.
They've amped her up. I mean, especially during the since they're going back to a little bit of the, I don't want to say 90s, but the earlier 2000s versions of some of these characters. She during the Mike Carey era, she basically became almost able to absorb. She was, they had like kind of foreshadowed her to become almost like the X-Men's. Her name got changed to Legacy for a short period of time because she would absorb absolutely everyone when they died. If you remember from that, from the what was it, the Age of X event?
Yeah,
not
but if
Age
it's
of
just
X-Man.
a straight up fight, Doc, Hulk would absolutely destroy them.
Oh yeah, just a straight up fight. Yeah, if Rogue can't get a hold of him. No, we've never really.
I would like to see him grab Rogue and throw her through Gambit, and that's the way he wins. Fastball special Hulk style.
Well,
now I want to make a custom action figure of hulked up Rogue. By the way, you know what? Hasbro has still not made a Marvel Legends figure, the 6-inch scale figure of Unstoppable Colossus. You've got all the parts you need to make that. What's going on?
I know. They've just refused to touch that for whatever reason. Not a clue.
Very nice. Chris J827. Hey, Comics Aficionados. Did you see the Arnold DeVito and Keaton skit at the Oscars? Keaton even chose to wear an ascot to look more like Bruce Wayne. So this is the one where he said he could take Arnold, but he was scared about Danny DeVito because he's wild.
He did the little they were on stage,
yeah.
And then it went to Keaton, and Keaton did the little like bring it, like, you know, it was the only thing that was worth watching at the Oscars. Yeah. Honestly, it's the only good moment because
I saw headlines.
You could have cut Schwarzenegger out of there because screw his freedom. But when it comes to Danny DeVito and Keaton, it was genius.
People are never going to forget that COVID stuff, and I don't blame them.
Nope.
Sigma Comics, HH the boys, shout out to the Thinking Critical crew. Aaron's take on creators medicating through comics is powerful. 100% true. Keep it tuned to Thinking Critical. Volume 3 of our manga is on Kickstarter. Get it now. Definitely do that. Go visit Kickstarter. The manga versions of Here Comes Calico are absolutely badass, Aaron. Really cool volumes. They're the right size and all that stuff. And you had powerful words. I think you moved people this week.
I hope so. I hope that I hope that I'm not just up here ranting like a crazy person for no reason.
That's my job.
I hope
I thought it was Jim's job.
No, because and we'll get flack and we'll get told how, oh, we're just negative, we're just outraged merchants, et cetera, et cetera. But the fact of the matter is we want the comics industry to change. We want it to go back to being an industry and not a clubhouse for weird people who are working through their emotional problems. We want to return to professionalism. We want good stories. We don't want agenda. You can work in messaging into your story, but it needs to be deft and subtle, and it needs to be good. It needs to be handled in a good way that's interesting.
We just want it to be good again. Yeah.
We want escapism.
I want it to not suck. That's what I say.
You live with these issues every single day in the real world. When you go to your comic books, you just want a little escapism.
It's
you just
escapism,
want weird
Aaron.
lizard,
Yeah, exactly.
weird lizard men from the center of the earth coming up in the middle of New York City, and some superheroes got to fight them. That's the sort of thing that you want. You want crazy space adventures. Men unabashedly wearing mini skirts in space like Flash Gordon or Magnus Robot Fighter. That's the thing that fires a kid's imagination.
Flash Gordon's amazing, and Jeremy Adams going to be writing Flash Gordon soon.
Yep.
The Bastards Network, Joker Year One by Chip Zdarsky gave me colon cancer.
Jesus.
Did you read Joker Year One? Breen? Did it seem important enough?
Breen,
Yes.
Breen?
That's right. I coughed and I didn't hear my name. No.
Oh man, this is bullshit, Jim. Why are you and I subjecting ourselves to this?
It was
and these
such
guys
a
are getting the
nothing
fucking
event.
I
free
say
pass.
that every
You
single
have
day.
channels.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too. Everybody
Shit on
laughs
fire.
at all this crap that I end up having, and yet the worst thing that happens are some of these books that I have to read. That's the real tragedy of the week.
over
every week.
Joker Year Two.
I sit there and I'm going through all these comics, especially when I'm doing shows or I'm there. I have to talk to them with Wes, and I just I want to.
We make it
somebody.
fun, Jim.
I just at one point though, some of these you just end up, and then you read something great like this week's Transformers, and then you think it's so easy.
Good.
Why is it so easy? It seems that, but yet people, and I'll say the idea what Aaron said. Like I say it all the time. I'm not a real big political guy, but I like comic book politics. But that doesn't have to be straight ripped from the headlines of yesterday's politics. I like the idea of, hey, look at Wakanda, they're hiding out, or, what's going on in Gamora. Like, that's comic book stuff. And if you could subtly put it in that, okay, I see what they might be doing, but there's no subtle anymore. It's like a hammer right to your face.
Jim and Wes, can I ask you about this comment here? The Joker Year One. This interrupted the regular Batman storyline. Yeah. How long do you think Chip Zdarsky had to write this to drop this in at the last minute? I think it's like a real last minute thing.
Yeah, it didn't. It seemed like just to get numbering to get to that 150 where they want to get it
exactly.
to, because it really was nothing. It was nothing.
It seemed like a editor-driven story rather than a writer-driven story.
We're gonna get a review.
Hopefully, you had it outlined.
Yeah, we're gonna get a review from Jim at some point where it's like, I tore out half my lower intestine this week jumping over a chain link fence, but Joker Year One was still the worst part of my life.
A chain link fence being chased by Dobermans, and I had a piece of steak up my ass. But yet, Joker Year One, worse.
It was just so unnecessary.
Yeah, and this Batman run, people have been like Batman. You can't have people jumping off of that's the flagship deal.
You can't.
And yet
but
you keep interrupting the book as well. So I mean, I'd say let Chip Zdarsky cook, but I don't think he's quite in the kitchen yet, right?
You're gonna get salmonella if you do that.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Vex Pop says Tony Bedard on Uncanny X-Men and Dan Abnett on X-Men, and just throw Exceptional in the garbage.
I'd be okay with that.
Dan Abnett on X-Men would be perfectly fine.
Dan Abnett, okay.
We need a bigger name, though.
I had a weird deal. Tony Bedard,
because E-Viewing is such a big name.
Yeah, really.
No, that's a problem. There's no big headliner.
Insane.
Yeah, Tony Bedard actually thanked us for a review this week, and I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? I realized it was from 2015. He's just catching up. I thought.
Fucking mensch.
It was the weirdest thing that happened this week. I'm like, he's like, thanks for the review. I really appreciate it. I'm like, the fuck is he
what did you review?
It was like a Teen Titans from way back. It just didn't make. And also, it was
9 years ago.
Not a very nice review either when I look. But hey, it was
Hey
weird.
Jim, thanks for your recent review of my Dark and Duck work from 2016.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, there you go. We could do that. I'd rather do that than this stuff, though. So
I'll send it to you.
Yes, you send it to me. I'll be in.
Federico de la Casa, I prefer asshole John Byrne over asshole Heidi McDonald. First one gave me the best stories of my teens. Do you think we will have a non-woke bullpen soon?
No.
No chance.
And that's why things won't get better. People ask all the time, hey, what would you do to improve comics? And I said, to improve Marvel or DC. And I said, nothing is going to improve until you have a purge from top to bottom. The leadership has to change. The middle management has to change.
Yeah.
The editorial culture there has to change. And that is a huge undertaking. And I don't think I don't think that either of those divisions make enough money to,
exactly, that's the problem.
For the company to really be concerned about it.
And I don't think they have the stomach to do it, even if they wanted to.
No, they don't. No.
Yeah, they just it's too bad. But John Byrne, everybody, if you put John Byrne on fucking X-Men and relaunched it, people would buy it.
That'd be awesome, Wes. Yeah, come on.
Absolutely.
There's a reason that they're trying to buy his fan fiction.
Other thing. It's what Mark Miller said. That you still have that where he pointed out you got to get some of these greats back and everybody get involved, and then you get these announcements and you're like, yep, it's not happening yet. We're getting the same old, and shake your head.
If you were ever going to do that, though, you'd have to have patience, because the vast majority of the audience that these creators would have been driven so far out of the industry that they're not even in it enough to hear the news. So you need some kind of word of mouth campaign, because you're not going to get any help from the Heidi McDonald's, because they're going to be downplaying it, ignoring it, or actively telling you not to.
Yeah, they will be straight up trying to sabotage it, because it's something, because it's something that they don't want, and it also puts the lie. Yeah, it puts the lie to what they've been saying of, well, this is how you sell comic books now, because they have an agenda.
Callum says we want swimsuit editions. Is this true? Are you guys all misogynists? Are you the fucking patriarchy? You want swimsuit issues again?
Fake.
Swimsuit editions sell. So I want swimsuit editions. I want things in the market that sell. And you know what? If you guys want swimsuit editions,
go check out lady Udon. Swimsuit editions, not men.
You don't want the...
Hey, great. If the male one's sold, I'd say go for it.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Put it out. But don't try to force it into every other book. That's the problem. Certain audiences for certain things, but they're trying to force it into every book, and that doesn't work.
Hey,
if you guys want good swimsuit editions, go check out Udon. They do their Street Fighter editions. Beautiful artists on it. Just fantastic stuff. Go check it out.
Iconic also has a swimsuit edition of Common America.
Yeah, they do. And actually, I think they contribute to some of the Udon Street Fighter ones, too.
I just look at any random Zenoscope issue that comes out, and I'm just like, I got it. I'm in.
Also,
we would have known.
We all remember the Punisher banana hammock, and we still all love it.
Did it have the Punisher symbol on it?
Yes, it did.
Of course it did.
Really? I missed that.
The Punisher in a banana hammock with the Punisher skull right square in the middle of his junk. And
Callum wants more.
Fuck it. We all loved it.
Callum certainly did. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. We do have another thing with the X-Men. It's been a big X-Men week. We did have the X-Men 97 Insanity here, where Beau DeMayo, who was like the writer and creator behind the new relaunch, it's going to be going, well, I guess it's not a relaunch. It's an homage to X-Men 92 series going on to Disney Plus. And then he just got fired basically a week before it's supposed to debut. He was also fired from Witcher because there were a lot of accusations around him. Sparrow, there are lots of OnlyFans and X-rated comment and links that were promoting X-Men 97 that could lead you also to his OnlyFans stuff. What do we know about this?
Turns out at current day Disney, even such as fallen as it is, it's frowned upon when you decide to promote a cartoon show aimed at kids and then direct people to your OnlyFans where you have full frontal nudity and things like that going on. That for a while, I guess it was described as a safe OnlyFans, but I've seen some people uncover some images there. Josh McDonald did some digging when the story broke. He reached out to some of his Hollywood contacts, and on Pop by Culture on Tuesday night, we talked about it. He had a bunch of inside info before anybody else kind of had the scoop. So, it appears that there's definitely some stuff going on, and I think that it's going to break. I think it's going to get bigger. I wouldn't be surprised if on the day that the show debuts, if we don't see some journalists drop some hot content on the the whys and the wherefores, because that tends to be what they do. They say like, hey, on this day, we're going to run this story. Disney, do you have any comment? And then Disney's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And I'm just saying it has to be something pretty egregious.
Yeah.
Some sort of abuse. Maybe, abuse.
That's weird though, Aaron. OnlyFans, to be fair, of course, it is what it is, but it's separate. It's like, it's a subscription-based thing. So surely you can't
free.
access that.
Yeah, his
really?
was free. So
okay. I didn't know that. Sorry.
Yeah, so yeah, you could definitely access it easily. So I think that something's going to come out that's going to be pretty ugly and pretty damaging to to Disney's reputation, which is already not in great shape. Just because for them to take on the political firestorm of firing a gay black man who has been doing every interview and talking about how his life as a gay black man is informing the work that he's doing on X-Men, and probably being encouraged by Disney to do so because they think that that's good marketing.
Oh, for sure.
And then for some, it's got to be something pretty severe.
Yeah.
So, I just hope that, whatever it is, I hope that if there's any victims involved, I hope that they get help, and I hope that they get recompense for what they suffered. But, at this point, it's all speculation. It's all kind of like alleged. There's also a lot of rumors about him being abusive on the set, being abusive to his staff. That came out of The Witcher 2. I always took it with a grain of salt with The Witcher, because he came out in defense of Henry Cavill. So of course he had to be destroyed. And, there may be to be fair, there may be something to that going on here as well, because we saw how Disney started an organized campaign of bots to go after Gina Carano. That's come out this week.
So
it
could be
her,
like that.
Could just be he was on the wrong side politically, and people didn't like some of the things that he had to say, especially when it came to the creative works. He was very much about, like, if you want to be on this show, you need to love the X-Men. He made statements to that effect. So who knows? There's I think it's all going to come out probably in the next week or two, and we'll probably be talking about it again.
Probably.
That timing is so awful, isn't it? It's so bad. What bad timing? Like the week before, it comes out on the 20th. Yeah,
and it was the night before. It was a day before the red carpet. Yeah. So that's
right.
It had to be something pretty, pretty racy, I think.
I didn't even think about that. That Disney's gone so far down the drain that whatever it is that he got fired for, we may end up aligning with him on more of it than not.
Yes, I know, Eric. Yeah, exactly. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, it could be it could be that he fired some people that, or he upset some people on his staff that, where it could be something like that. But I think I'm leaning towards it being something pretty egregious, because the way that they just dropped the hammer and just put up the wall of silence and are hoping it goes away, and I don't think it's gonna.
But what are they embarrassed by now at Disney?
Yeah, what does it take for Disney to get embarrassed in 2024?
I'm starting to think it's
outright pedophilia. Is that the last thing?
I don't know. I think it might be more something that maybe he did have a accidental conservative principle.
It's age restricted. Sorry, OnlyFans. It's age restricted. You can't say that.
But I mean, yeah, there is not.
No, but I mean, but if you were using it, like if there's communication between people, and I'm not saying that there is, I'm just I'm just speculating on what could be so bad that we would see Disney just cut ties with somebody, and they did it with James Gunn. Remember, James Gunn made some jokes, and they were immediately like, he's fired.
I know, yeah, sure, yeah.
So I mean, I hope that I'm leaning towards this probably just being, hey, look. You're still helming a child's property, ostensibly. Please put your pants on. I mean,
and zip them up.
Yeah, like I feel like that is not a high bar to reach, and I feel like even they would be like, look, this is not a high bar that we're asking for. We're literally just asking that as long as you are currently promoting our children's entertainment, series, please keep your fucking pants on, and he couldn't. It'd be like who was the redhead chick that was a Disney girl that ended up starting her OnlyFans. Oh God!
Is this a
My
conversation
wife.
about OnlyFans?
No.
X-Men
I'm going.
97 went to
Yes,
went to,
but I'm getting somewhere.
Kind of, Wes. Kind of.
There was that one redheaded chick that she was a Disney.
Bella Thorne.
Yes, that one. The one that's like, if it would have been around
Bella
if they
Thorne,
were
that's
still
one.
working with her, and it was around the time that she launched her OnlyFans, they might have cut ties with her because, again, if they're doing like an all ages or generally child appropriate, child targeted cartoon, TV show, whatever. And the person that's out there being the face of that can't keep their fucking pants on. And they're like actively advertising it publicly. Like it's a disconnect that even they had to finally step in and say, stop it. Like, you're not working for us anymore. We gave you 3 chances. You're gone. I mean, and maybe that's what
You signed a contract that you would wear pants.
Yes.
Get those pants on. Do it.
Exactly. Not a high bar. And I'm hoping that that's all it ends up being. And
I'm hoping so too, but just the absolute scrubbing of all of his social media. There's just a lot of things that make you go.
Well, he also had allegations when he was on The Witcher.
Yeah,
abusing people.
And again, allegations while you're on The Witcher, considering these are the people that claimed Henry Cavill was also abusive because he said that's not what whoever the hell character he played.
Geralt. That's not who Geralt is.
Yeah, that's not what he would do, and that's not his character. We're not doing that. They said that he was abusive for that. So
the word is violence.
I never saw that word. Did we see abusive?
I
did. Yeah, they did that.
Oh,
I did.
Yeah.
So,
really? Violence,
like my concern about somebody being accused of that on out of The Witcher, there's a very fucking low bar for that.
Well, I'm just saying now it's happened twice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. But it worked the first time, so why won't it work the second time? Especially if it's for the same reasons.
So how will it affect X-Men 97's launch in 3 days' time?
I don't think anyone cares who that guy was. No one knew who he was.
No.
Yeah,
I
had no
think
idea
anyone
who he
gives a shit
was.
who the writer of X-Men 97 is. Either it's going to be successful or it won't be.
If there's stuff out there, it'll drop on that day, and it will, it'll be another black eye for Disney on a launch. They can't seem to put out anything these days without stumbling over some sort of controversy. But I don't think this show is going to be that huge. I don't think it's going to drive any subscribers to Disney Plus. I think it's just another thing that people who already are paying for Disney Plus will watch. But I don't think that it's going to, result in any kind of growth. Just like I don't think paying Taylor Swift all that money to put her concert on there is going to drive a lot of growth. Certainly not enough to cover what they paid for it. So, at this point, I think Disney Plus is a dead service. Dead service walking. I don't think it's ever going to recover. So I don't know. I don't know how much anybody's going to care.
Yeah, it's like 27 years later, isn't it? Think about that. 27 years since the debut of the cartoon originally. Who cares anymore?
31
Who's going
years.
to watch it?
I think you're going to get people that are going to watch. I don't think that this impacts the interest level, which is already it's nostalgia. It's a nostalgia bait cartoon being marketed to either nostalgia bait, the nostalgia bait audience.
Baiters?
Yes,
it might even boost the interest arc. It could boost it, and is that planned? Just saying.
I don't think it really terribly boosts interest, but I don't think it hurts it either. I mean, it's I think you're looking at 6 and 1/2 dozen the other. It's
sure.
Are you going to be watching the cartoon, Doc?
Probably not.
It's aimed at you and Aaron Sparrow. I grew up on cartoons and still watch cartoons as adults.
Honestly, the only cartoon I even watch as an adult is Invincible.
Yeah, a superhero cartoon.
Yeah. But it's the reason why I watch Invincible is because it's a chance to experience it again for the first time. And I've already experienced X-Men as a cartoon. I'm good. Like, I don't need to do it again.
Jim, you have boys between the ages of 17 and 30. Do any of them even know X-Men 97 is a thing?
No, I don't think so. They don't talk.
And they're surgically attached to their phones.
They're always on the things. They'll never watch it. But our family will be watching the Taylor Swift concert, though. I
that's because that's a mom decision. She overrode everybody else.
She can't wait.
Are the X-Men in that, Jim?
That. But yes, they might be.
You're still upset
might
that
be
she's
some
got a
X-Men.
Travis Kelce jersey.
Yeah, she
and
does.
Supporting the Chiefs now.
Yeah, I can see it hanging up right over there. I want to burn it.
It's not just like she has a jersey; she's displayed it.
Yes, it is. It's
nice.
I've seen it. It's hanging right over there on by itself, just there, a little trophy. Drives me nuts. She'll never wear it again. It's just the other day. She comes in and she's like, "Oh my God, I got that jersey and Kelce retired." I'm like, "Wrong one, you." It's like, how dare you?
You didn't realize there's a different Kelce?
Yeah, she knows, but she just heard Kelce, but she likes Jason as well. But still, it drives me nuts.
Everyone likes Jason.
Now
Kelce.
I'm just looking over at that jersey. I'm like,
he's like the Chris Pratt of football.
He is. He's upset he retired now. Eagles getting some guys. So,
guys, can I ask the panel, just like you've seen the trailer for X-Men, forget about the controversy, forget all about, look at the animation, and you saw that. Would you not prefer to see it animated by a Japanese animation house, or even a Korean, whatever? The animation to me, it just looks so basic. I was disappointed.
I'm tired
when I saw
of
the trailer.
Japanese animation stealing our jobs. I'm in favor of big animation in the American.
Is it made in America, though, Wes? Are you sure about that?
No. There's no way that it's made in America.
No, no chance.
No, it looks
Disney
like
are too cheap, aren't they, Aaron? They're too cheap to pay for this made in America.
Yeah, no, they're way too cheap, and too cheap for Japanese artists to take it on as well.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It looks like Archer. It looks like that kind of level of animation, and I love Archer. Don't get me wrong.
Archer's great.
Comedy.
That's funny at least.
Yeah, but I mean that's kind of like how it looks to me. But let's remember too, everybody looks at the old X-Men cartoon through rose-colored glasses. The animation on that was not good at the time either. It was very cheaply done, and it got cheaper the further they went. When they farmed it out to, I think it was the Philippines in the fourth season. It got really, really dodgy. So it's certainly better animation than the original show had, and people can be mad at me for saying that, but it's absolutely true. It's just going to be more consistent animation. The character designs are worse. They've taken out a lot of the femininity from the female characters. One of the things they put in there was, my body diversity, sadly, was very important to them. There's a lot of political correctness going on with the show as far as the casting. The voice actors, they brought back the original cast, but they're not all playing the original characters that they played because, they're not the right race anymore. They're not the right demographic. So they had to switch that up. The whole morph controversy that's going on, that he's going to be non-binary. In the 90s, when that wasn't even a term that people used, and still isn't a thing that exists. It's just all of these things that they're cramming in there. I just don't think it's gonna resonate with the old fans. Maybe it'll get some new fans. Maybe it'll lean into the Orgy Island fans. So those 19 people will watch it. We certainly already saw in the trailer the little newspaper that floats by talking about the Hellfire Gala. And it's just the mutant fashion gala, and it's just oh geez, why are you going to reference the worst things and make sure that we see them? Is that a what's that stupid term that they use? Is that a dog whistle for the 19 Krakoa fans?
Really? They said that.
Yeah. So my stance on shipping out American animation to Asia is the same as my stance on aluminum. I support big aluminum. I do not support recycling aluminum. I think if you buy that aluminum can, you need to throw it.
Are you talking about aluminium?
Aluminium? You saying that?
No, I'm not British. And I'm not for recycling, and I'm not for sending that stuff out. I'm trying to make America great. One aluminum can, reproduced or produced, and one great animated show at a time. Although all
Doc
the
and I get together 2 times a year for
Cocomelon.
I put my aluminum cans right in the regular trash.
Exactly.
I am a rebel.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're doing
Doc
the right
and I
thing,
get
Jim.
together times a year to engage in a huge tire burning, just to offset everybody who's worried about their carbon footprint. So we're doing our part.
Every
And
single
you're
Earth
keeping
Day.
Americans in work making new tires.
And you know what? It's a great way to celebrate both Earth Day and Arbor Day because you are creating plant food.
Yeah.
For trees.
All right, Breen. So we've got this controversy. What are the chances that the 4-color fossils decide to delve into the OnlyFans arena to, bake up a little controversy around the show?
There's an old Elvis Costello song that's a movie title also. Less than zero.
Oh, come on, man. Everybody would want to see an Eric Breen OnlyFans account.
I love both.
Even if it wasn't safe.
Great song, great movie.
Doc,
I just want Doc to yell for Breen
in the
to keep his
Punisher
pants on.
banana hammock or not?
Yes, I need to see Breen in a Punisher banana hammock. My life is not complete until I see Breen in a Punisher banana hammock. So there's your answer.
Where do you go from there, Eric? Where do you go?
Well, how about if we just start small with a 4-color fossils calendar?
Okay, I can live with that.
And we'll put the older guys at the beginning of the year in case they don't make it to the end of the year.
Sexy puppet
4-color
show.
Fossils OnlyFans. You'll get a Mary Sue article on it, guaranteed.
No,
we're all white and straight.
Exactly, they'll be talking bad about you.
Oh yeah, any press is good press. As long as you
the 4-color fossils are what's wrong with men today, and it would be a great headline.
And have been for a lot of years apparently to hiding.
And there'll be you on a Punisher banana hammock doing like a little pose
with a little thing. I heart Doc there.
Oh my goodness! Oh, you could write his name on your chest and lipstick. I don't know.
Oh, sexy.
I'm a sexy beast, Doc.
Let's hear from the
yes.
people. Callum says that Sentinel fight they showed was pretty cool, but they can tell most of it was CGI animated.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem. Like, it doesn't look bad, but it also really doesn't look... I was never a big fan of the original animation. I always thought that it was a severe step down from the animation that was done in the original, like, animated X-Men pilot, which, if you have not seen, I recommend you go out and find a copy to watch.
I'm recommending watching the X-Men anime. There's, 2 seasons of it? Looks fantastic.
Yeah, but no, I was going to recommend folks go out and find, it was X-Men, it was Pride of the X-Men, and it was the original kind of almost pilot for an X-Men cartoon, and except for that's the one that has the Australian Wolverine.
You think how is it? Put her all the time. She's just a girl.
Come on,
and now we have an Australian X-Men.
Yes, I know, which is the great amusing part of the whole thing. You ended up with a actual Australian Wolverine as a result in the end.
Very nice. Callum says, I'm glad he blew the whistle on the Witcher writing team, but I thought Disney was pro-diversity, and with him, they won the token lottery.
They did. I mean, they got, if they wanted to be able to, token it up, he was right there. So he obviously had to do something pretty shitty.
Yeah.
But it could have been as simple as just not keeping his pants on.
Perhaps. Caleb also says a porn star was an extra on the Token Mermaid reboot.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
What's wrong with that?
I don't care.
Did she keep her pants on?
Yes.
She kept her flippers on.
Well, she wasn't in character. We should be fine. And he says Western animation shows are just shipping bait.
Unfortunately, the shippers ruin everything. I mean, whether they're bait or not, they get taken over by these vocal weirdos.
Here's the big question, Aaron: who's worse, shippers, bicycle riders, or vegans?
Ooh,
Jesus, that's difficult.
I may be one of those.
I'm gonna say vegans. Vegans are the worst because there's so many more of them.
I you know what? Look, I live in Pittsburgh, and we had Mayor fucking Bike Lane here that just kept turning all of our roads into goddamn bike lanes. So I especially hate bicycle riders. Like, with a
I knew it, Doc. I knew
high
it.
level of passion.
Are you sure you just don't hate people that are out there exercising?
No,
Maybe.
I very, very, very much
bike
hate
shorts, like there's something
bicycle
special.
riders.
Them helmets, like the helmets.
I'll tell you
Yeah,
this,
I
though,
hate
all those
the
people
serious
out there.
guys who like all the gear. Sorry, Aaron. Yeah, I hate that, man. That's crazy.
You're fucking Lance Armstrong and the
Yeah, that's who they think.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Like,
guarantee
dude, you're
you,
going to the store.
Doc
Let's
is going to
calm it down a
outlive.
bit.
Doc is going to chain smoke, and Doc is going to outlive every one of those guys. Greenies.
Yeah,
He's
those
gonna
assholes.
going,
You
oh
would've
shit,
run him
another
over.
drag off
Putting
the
their blood in a centrifuge just to go down the road.
Yeah.
The hell with it.
And I will live out of pure hatred.
But Wes, on this point from Callum, about Western animation, what you were saying before, I'd love to see a fantastic American-made animation and a UK, a British-made animation. I'd love to see that, but we don't see that anymore, do we? It's really sad.
Are there
Shit,
any?
everything out.
Are there any?
I don't know. I really don't
British
know.
animation houses. I mean,
I think they're all like like sent out to other countries.
But the
These
British
days.
ones, just like
My
the
my
food.
stance is that shippers are the worst, Jim, because I have to read a lot of comics with shipping included into it,
Yeah.
and it is
Yeah.
very frustrating. There are no vegans here that I know of in the Philippines, and the bike riders suck, but at least they're not wearing grape smugglers, you know.
That is true. I actually thought you were talking like truckers and things shipping, so I didn't.
Yeah, me
No,
too.
shippers,
I'm
people
like
that are
those
shipping
damn
like
people
the
shipping
brothers on
exports.
fucking
I
Supernatural.
know, yeah.
It's just gross.
Gets
You
kind
got
What
no
do they call it,
vegans in the
Wincest?
Philippines, Wes? No way.
yeah.
No, there's
But
no way
though-
vegan could fly here, man.
My
Everyone
one
eats
buddy is
rice and
big in
meat.
biking, and that asshole, he goes out and he is like the typical Lancer, and just you want to just get on the bike. It takes him forever. Like, come on, he's got the shoes.
So
that
you hate
click
bikers
in.
more than shippers?
Yeah, I think I might hate them just because of him. Like, he's got the click-in shoes and stuff.
Oh,
Me
God.
too.
Oh, God.
I'm with you,
That's
Jim.
so
I hate
annoying.
those shoes.
Yeah, I hate him. And then I'll ride with him. I haven't in a while, but when I ride with him, I'm just there, like, regular just shorts and a hoodie.
You're throwing
and I
like
go-
sticks in the spokes. aren't you?
Afterwards,
Like,
I
come
will
on,
admit, like
Got your
afterwards,
baseball
I'm like,
card.
my groin hurts like hell, and I can't walk for 3 days. But still, I don't want to look like an asshole.
All right,
That's what I
Breen.
do.
or death.
What
Put it
who's
best.
the worst?
Infamy or death said it best. Vegans don't interfere with my hobby. Shippers do. And Doc only likes bikers if they're using banana hammock seats.
Okay, fair enough.
That'd be cool, like a bike like that with a banana seat. That would be pretty cool.
Very nice. Nerd says, "What the hell is Marvel and Media's deal with porn?" I assume it's porn instead of prom. Maybe it is prom because they do a lot of prom stuff.
They do.
they do. I think it's prom.
So Hellfire Gala is mutant prom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have.
I
a
went to prom. It
weird-
wasn't that great. I mean, it was all right. We went to dinner. You show up with your hot date. She's got a dress on. Everyone takes a
Yeah.
picture.
And you hope to take her dress off at the end of the night.
Exactly.
There.
That's where you
That-
tell them to take their pants off.
Yes.
You're riding a limo. You go down to the beach. That's after
Breen,
prom,
you went
that's
to?
how it
Did you
works.
go to prom?
Yeah, that was 40
Yes.
40-something years ago.
I thought you were
Well,
going to
you
say
went,
it was like
right?
1940.
Yeah. I was
Breen
one of-
definitely had his best gal.
No, actually, I thought I did, but she was just using me to get to this other dude.
Breen was the
that
one
sucks.
who's
So
like, "Did
I
we bring
had
the
her-
cow's blood?"
I had her prom dress. Unfortunately, she wasn't in it, and I put it under the tire of my car, and I was getting ready to back over it, and I was going to send it back to her, but I ended up not doing it.
Oh, you should have done it. Jim, you went to prom?
Yes, I did. I went to a couple.
Sparrow, you
Yeah,
go to prom?
I went to prom. That's why I'm not.
Doc,
that's
you
why
go
I'm
to
not
prom?
a shipper.
Oh yeah. I went to a couple
Here's
of proms.
Here's
Actually.
the big
Yeah, so
question.
did I.
Gray, did you go to prom? Where's he there?
Gray's out.
He's
Gray's not
left.
there.
Hello,
He's
love.
British. I
I
don't even know
went
if
to
they
the
have
proms.
prom in
I
England.
did.
He's British, so
The
he probably
answer.
went to prom, but
Do
they
they
call
have
it
prom
something
in
weird.
England?
Yeah,
Something weird.
they have that weird prom thing that they have each year with like Doctor Who shit and stuff too. So I don't know what they do over there.
No, it's because the same assholes that have gotten and infested the Western, the American media market and are obsessed with prom are also the same assholes working in fucking at the BBC that are obsessed with prom. Why? Because none of them fucking got
There you
invited.
go.
Gray, did you go to prom? Do they have that in England?
Hey up, love. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that.
Hello.
I missed it, but no, I'm so jealous of you guys in the States. You know why? Because when I was young, I watched Back to the Future. I saw the prom, the dance. We don't have that in the UK, or we didn't when I was young. We didn't have it.
You don't have
I'm
like
so
formal
jealous.
dances?
No, we didn't do that.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember ever hearing about that.
We used to go to raves and like take like naughty things, go crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I remember
After we
barbecuing on
graduated,
Skybox there.
Back to the Future.
Yeah, maybe it's probably an American thing. I don't know what the deal with prom is. It's weird. Caleb says, I said about shipping bait, it's because most of the style is that Young Justice Airbender-like art style.
I don't think that art style started out that way, though. I think that those shows just drew those people.
Yeah, I think so too.
The first 2 seasons of Young Justice are chef's kiss. They did a great job, like making me care about characters that I never cared about in the comics. I
And
never
you
cared
wrote
about
an
Cheshire.
episode, right?
In season 4, yes, I wrote an episode. Balls to the wall action. That's what I did.
Is
It
it
was
great?
good animation too, Aaron. Really good animation. The first 2 seasons.
Yeah, no, they did a really great when like they were coming. The animation was coming back. I was so like blown away, and there's so many little subtle things that were like in the script that they really nailed. That animation house did a really good job on it.
what we
very
really
nice.
need, in addition to balls to the wall action, is you need balls to the chin action.
Well, that's what the shippers want.
Yes, that's the problem.
Jesus, Doc.
He is the worst. Caleb says, they did in the UK when I was at high school. Never went because I found the whole idea of prom absurd.
He's not
No
wrong.
way, it was
Maybe
Callum at
it's
UK.
a
I
thing
didn't
now.
know that. I thought it was American.
No, he's Australian.
Hello.
Wait a minute. That doesn't count, sorry.
No, but he said he was in the UK at high
He must
high
have
school.
grown up in the UK and then moved to
No.
Australia. I
Yeah.
probably knew
God.
this at one point.
Maybe he went to a private
But I'm
school.
told.
Maybe he's loaded. He's minted. Wes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, I
you
mean,
from
he's certainly
London?
one
Maybe
of
it's
the
a big city thing.
patrons of the channel.
Maybe it wasn't country folk like you.
You know why? Here is what I can
Manchester.
actually. I actually bring it back to, because you started seeing it. I blame Joss Whedon for this obsession with prom.
For so many things, Doc. So many things.
Somehow
I
I
blame
blame High
doing-
School Musical.
doing-
Look what it did to
Doing-
Gray. He's still obsessed with it.
doing proms, because they did like 3 or 4 fucking proms on there, and doing musical episodes
Yeah,
randomly in the middle
I
of
thought it
your
was an
action.
American thing. I really
was a
did.
good
Only
episode.
America.
Yeah, the
Joss
problem
Whedon's
is
British. Gotta be.
Joss Whedon is like the things that he did on Buffy that he did well is kind of like Watchmen is in comics, where it's like Alan Moore did that well. He did the Killing Joke well, and then you've got a bunch
Yeah.
of people trying to imitate it that don't have the skill to do so, and so it just becomes a trope and it's lame when they do it. Gray, I think you need to lean into the fact that Americans don't know anything about Britain. So you could be like, oh, we have prom in Britain, but we call it Pibblesqueak.
We
And
call
we'll just
it weed
believe
prom.
there was a great bit on 30 Rock where you had Michael Sheen come in as Wesley Snipes, and he kept saying things like, you'll be missing me during Sweet Week. That's what we call spring cleaning in Britain. Like just everything that he said, like was.
I've
was
never
some,
heard that before.
Yeah.
Jim can comment on this, like Aaron Jim, because Jim has like lived in the UK and America.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell they do over there. I know my mom was a bitch. That's all I know.
All right.
That's what I got out of it.
Tommy's reviews. Hail the Comics Aficionados. Wes, you followed my old account. Well, my bad. It must have had some activity on it. I got my 4K of the Super Mario Brothers movie from '93. Moon Knight Volume 2 Omnibus and 2 HasLab Primes. Also didn't know Doc was a fellow Pennsylvania. Apparently everybody that's into comic books is from Pittsburgh. Doc, Carrie, I think
Yes.
Neon and his wife are there as well.
Yep.
The Super Mario Brothers movie from 1993, I still think is unredeemable. Although for some reason people think it's charming now.
No, it's irredeemable. It is an abysmal movie.
Come
And-
on, Dennis Hopper. Come
Does it-
on, Doc.
Dude, okay. The only thing that Dennis Hopper has done that is worse than that movie is the accent he attempted in the first season of 24. Which was it's literally the worst thing Dennis Hopper has ever done. And I'm betting that if I were a betting man, it's the one thing in his career that he 100% regrets.
I forgot he was even in it. No way.
Yeah, he's the European dude.
That's crazy.
Now, as far as Pittsburgh, apparently there are like 50 comic book shops still there. It's like comic book Nirvana still.
It really is. That's the one thing that is great. Like, I can go within 10 miles of my house in any direction and hit at least 5, if not more. No, actually, there are approximately 30 comic shops within a 20-mile radius of my house.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, must be nice.
It's
Cal
weird.
says, I'm British and I immigrated. I was born in the Northeast and now I don't have that accent. What's the Northeast accent? Is that the trolley accent or whatever that you hear about?
The Northeast accent is very difficult to replicate, and it's very difficult to even understand. For me, who's like, a natural Brit, it's so hard. It's the Newcastle Geordie accent.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it, Jim?
Hello, love. That's what I hear.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
Cockney. Where does the Cockney accent come from?
Cockney's like down south. It's like that's Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins. The classic. All right, Mary Poppins, that kind of thing. But the Northeast is like, it's indecipherable. It's crazy.
It's tough.
They call it Geordie dialect, apparently.
That's it. Whereas that's it, Geordie. It's a nightmare.
I have an uncle that has, and I didn't know anything that he was saying, probably warning me about my bitch mother, but that's probably a different story.
No, we have that in the States, but we call them Cajuns.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys remember Dire Straits? They were Geordies, and they made some good songs. Jim back in the day.
Yeah.
Ozzy Osbourne can't understand a word he says, but when he sings,
he's a Brummie. He's Birmingham. He's Birmingham.
No,
mate.
I think he's done so many drugs.
That's good.
Yeah,
Speak properly.
that's part of it. Yeah,
brain dead.
It's one of those weird things where you can understand the music, but you can't understand the man.
He's a Brummie.
Yeah. Do you think Callum has an Australian accent, or do you think he's trying to acquire an American accent? What is he doing? What game is he running down there?
I want to hear him talk, Callum.
Yeah.
Contact me. Let's get on a stream together, mate. Let's do a live stream together, okay?
Keep your pants on.
Zombie Reviews. Also, Doc, been meaning to visit the Living Dead Museum in Monroeville, and I like that 3-story comic store in Pittsburgh that also sells movies and stuff.
Okay, what he's talking about is that there is a Night of the Living Dead museum in Monroeville Mall. Mm-hmm. It's literally in the fucking mall. Here's the thing about Monroeville Mall, though. You could tell that it's a dead mall walking because they have a wig store.
Do they have an Orange Julius?
They actually do, and it only showed up like 3 years ago, which is why I'm really confused about it. Yes, there's an Orange Julius that opened 3 years ago. There's a bunch of stores in that mall that I'm pretty sure I can guarantee they're drug fronts. Where the Buckle used to be, there's now a sort of lingerie store that only has like 8 mannequins and like 4 tables in an entire store where a Buckle used to be.
Is the Buckle still a thing?
Yeah, it's still
But I've been to a mall in America in like 8 years.
But that mall is really that's the one that that's the one where Dawn of the Dead.
That's the question.
That's all right. That's the one where Dawn of the Dead was filmed. The original Dawn of the Dead, because it used to have an ice rink where the food court is now. Yeah. And the comic shop he's talking about is down in the Strip District downtown. It's called Ides, and it's one of the few.
So you can go to a strip club and then go to the comic shop.
Well, actually, there are strip clubs there, but it's called the Strip District. That's where all the fresh produce comes in.
Oh,
yeah, it's just called the Strip District. It was better when
comic shop in the red light district, and
actually we do have those, but it's slightly different. We also have an inordinate number of strip clubs here, so comic books and strippers we're wonderful for. But yeah, Ides, great shop. They have a lot of they're one of the few places where you can get a good selection of like Silver Age stuff in Pittsburgh. So if you want
Doc,
Silver
I have
Age
an important question. Does the mall food court have either a Steak Escape or a Sparrow?
And it still has a Sparrow.
You got Sparrow here.
And all the rest of that mall, weirdly, I worked in it in high school, in a record store that none of the record stores exist anymore. But it was one of the malls that had a rule. Sparrow and Taco Bell were actually the only places that were allowed in there that were chains.
Very nice.
So I don't know why. Also, the Lids is in the food court for some reason there.
Goichioke West, when's your next comic guest? Get Jim Lee, because I want to have words. I severely doubt I have the pull to get Jim Lee on the channel.
Really?
I know my own limitations. I don't know when the next comic guest is. It's not something I'm always trying to get lined up or something, but I can go out there and see if we can get somebody on here and have a fun conversation, because there are people that actually do like the show a lot. I don't know if they want to publicly admit it, but I certainly have been approached by a lot of people behind the scenes, or even friends of mine that I've talked to about. So I'll see if I can get somebody on soon. I don't think it'll be Jim Lee. He might be a little too out of our pay range. You know, he is a millionaire and all that.
Put down a red carpet. He'll show up.
Yeah, this is actually a premiere of a movie, Jim. That's what we're doing here.
You can doodle a little while you're here.
Yeah. And Tommy says, I live in Nipah area, and SMB 1993 is a great cyberpunk film. You can't deny it.
SMB? What's that again?
I understand Northeast Pennsylvania, Northeast Pittsburgh, something, Doc?
Northeast PA, and that's literally
like no man's land?
No, it's closer to New York.
Is that where the Amish are?
No, yes, actually, it's not that far from Lancaster. But no, what he means by that's where it's north of where Jim's at.
Well, I got he's in Northeast Pennsylvania. Yeah. I thought he was talking about in Pittsburgh.
No,
just PA.
I'm going to Amish towns next week.
That's Jim's favorite buffet.
That's where
when he wants a treat, he goes to the Amish buffet.
Yep, I go to the Shady Maple.
And he knows that butter has been churned by hand, and that cheese has been,
putting steaks up my sleeves, meatballs in my pockets, and I run.
Goblin says, you saw the Heir of Apocalypse comic. Who do you think is going to be Apocalypse's successor? My money is on Nature Girl. She's forever a villain. I think she's Apocalypse Girl now, Doc.
Yes, she is. Armageddon Girl.
Armageddon Girl, yes.
Yeah, which is quite possibly an even worse name, but
she's likely to win, though.
Yeah, they're gonna look. They're still trying to make her into like a thing. It doesn't really work. Nobody cares, but they're gonna keep trying to force, because that's another Jerry Duggan project from X-Men Green that didn't get over. Jerry, you're not going to make fetch happen. Stop it.
Yeah, I would say Armageddon Girl's probably the one. Finally, Callum says, I would jab at Jim. That could be taken a lot of ways, Aaron.
Yes, it can. I noticed you didn't throw to Doc on that one. You were like, well, Aaron,
I know our limits.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but Nature Girl's kind of turning me on. I don't know why.
Yeah, you like Armageddon Girl? You like the antlers? Oh my goodness. It's like a 10-speed bike. Let's not think about that. Let's do some comic book recommendations. So how are we doing? Do you got through the entire stream here? Wakizashi Gray. Everything's going good? You got your buzz on. Are you reading comic books?
I'm buzzing. I think I've done pretty well, Wes. I've not been too incomprehensible, for a change.
I would be way
I've got some recommendations. Only 3 this week. It was a light week for me.
It was not a great week.
You know what the first one's got to be. Like, there's no doubt about it. Daniel Warren Johnson killed it. Transformers number 6. Fantastic conclusion to the arc. What a great issue. Some of the panels in there just blew my mind. And I got to shout out Sully, Eric O'Sullivan. The onomatopoeia was amazing in that issue. It was so good. Also, shout out to Ram V, Jim's favourite writer, for the one hand? Issue 2. That was surprisingly very good, because he limited his dialogue. He kept it like short, succinct, really good, like a kind of PI noir detective story. And the last one is Peter David, Symbiote Spider-Man, is it? 2099? I'm not sure I got that right.
Symbiote
I don't know the character.
2099. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know the character, but I love this issue. I went in like cold. I had a great time with it. Really good fun story. And so much better than Amazing Spider-Man, but hey, what isn't?
Very nice. Caleb says, Gray, if you use Twitter, I gave my username in the chat.
Okay, thank you. I missed that. I'll check that out. Thank you, Callum. Thanks.
Very nice. Who else we got here? Eric Breen, were you reading comic books this week? Are you on the Transformers bandwagon? Or are you too old for that?
B. I was too old for that.
Fall in love with Transformers for the first time, brother. It is the best thing going today.
Woo!
No doubt.
This was a light week, so I think I got Green Lantern and something else, but I'm going to recommend something from the week before that actually Yule was talking about on his show 2 weeks ago. Torpedo 1972. Apparently this is an old, I don't know if it's an old pulp character or where he came from, but it's a really good book, and the writer's not really important. You can tell because the tagline is from the artist of 100 Bullets. So if you like Eduardo Rizzo's art, you will like this. It was a pretty good story. It's very 100 Bullets-esque, but I'm sure that's got more to do with the art. So that's my recommendation.
You want to know a fun fact? If you want to see Aaron Sparrow on OnlyFans, it's Torpedo 1972.
Why would I use a year that was before I was born?
Wow, 10-year-old me just got really
excited.
Uncomfortable?
No, you want to.
All right, Sparrow, you recommending comic books?
I am not recommending any comic books this week because I have not.
You didn't read Transformers?
I have not gone to. I'm going when the show's over. I'm heading down to the show. So yeah, it's like I can't make it out on Wednesdays. You know, like that's a busy day for me. So my recommendation this week is the new. Whoa, look at that! Strong Heart action figure. Yeah, if I go past my my body, the digital background throws it off. But it's the Strong Heart action figure from NECA. For old school D&D heads, this was one of the characters from the old action figure line, and NECA is currently like reimagining them in 6-inch scale with a lot of detail and really great sculpting. And you can actually raise up his visor here to get that old school face, the Tom Selleck mustachioed face. He's got a sword, he's got a hammer, he's got a shield, and over here on his scabbard, there's actually a little removable knife. So if you guys can see that little knife comes out. So that's my recommendation for this week is this amazing action figure from NECA.
Are you recommending people check out that Warduke NECA D&D thing that looks so awesome with the blue helmet?
Yes, I'm absolutely recommending that. We talked a little bit about that on the Patreon. So NECA they did a Warduke figure from this same line, and they did it in kind of like modern coloring, but they're also releasing one on a retro card that has the original toy coloring. So I highly recommend that. Warduke is one of the coolest looking character designs ever. So definitely seek that out if you're an action figure fan.
If you're an action figure fan, you might not know this, but when Aaron and I do the Geek Fix every week, we talk about toys for 30 minutes at the end, just so he'll keep coming back. That's like a little breadcrumbs to keep him on the
as Wes
catnip.
As Wes like tries to delve into my personal life, and so Aaron, blondes or redheads, and what if?
Very nice. Common Sense wants to know, Gray, do you think Amatsu Mikaboshi is in Peach's X-Men book?
Amatsu Mikaboshi. Oh my god, that is a deep dive. I'm sorry, I've no idea who that is. Really? Anyone on the panel or in chat?
Doc is the X-Men aficionado. He's the one that's supposed to know.
I legitimately have no idea.
It's Chaos King.
No idea.
It's Chaos King, yes.
Thanks, Jim.
I think it might be the Shadow King, actually, myself.
It's supposed to be Shadow King, yes.
But
it's
it could be.
Common
Sense has mentioned that, and when I went and looked, he has actually said that to me, and I looked, and it might be that, though. It works better because of, the whole Japanese deal.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for
that
one.
Sense, yeah.
Jim, I want you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I want you to look after yourself.
Me? Oh.
Don't die this week. I want you to be safe, and I want you to recommend some comic books.
Well, first I'm at the NECA site, and they have a Bon Jovi 7-inch figure that I see. I'm looking at these things. I'm like, they're pretty cool. The comic books that I'd recommend would be Symbiote Spider-Man 2099, especially, hopefully it would help out Peter David, but also Ultimate Black Panther, Green Lantern, and then Transformers. But here's the thing. There were some good comics this week, but then there were way more real crappy ones. But if you pick through it, you can find some good ones.
Wait, so they're doing... I know Peter David was doing the Symbiote Spider-Man book before, and he was doing a Spider-Man 2099 book. He's doing a Symbiote Spider-Man.
Yeah, and what I was told, because I didn't read any of the Symbiote Spider-Man stuff before, and I still really like this, but what I guess this is it's continuing from when his run ended, and then they had a couple issues afterwards, and he's kind of like wiping those out to maybe end it. I just found that out yesterday. But yeah, he's doing the Symbiote.
The Venom has ended up on some type of Atlantean, and Punisher is going after some guy that Spider-Man 2099 has beaten to a pulp, who also had the Venom symbiote before that, named Rock or something like that.
Yeah. And I know that the biggest problem I thought with this is that people at the moment, if you see 2099, you think, oh, Steve Orlando's doing something else. And I hope that people can get past that to realize that it's actually Peter David doing his stuff and ending it.
Very nice. Doc, are you recommending any new books?
I'm not recommending any new books. However, wait, I hit the wrong button and muted myself instead of turning on my camera. So, in honor of Breen, we're going to go with Amazing Spider-Man 93. It was this is just a low-grade copy I picked up recently for relatively cheap, and Return of the Prowler, and really nice-looking book though, really fun story. Then we will go with also some Frank Miller Daredevil. And I always love this cover. I don't know why.
Because it's Daredevil holding a gun and it says no more Mr. Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great angle. Look at that angle there.
But it's so simple. And I think that's the reason why I like it. But yeah, no, I love this cover.
The Charles Bronson movie.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. Death Wish. Come on.
Yeah.
Then we will go with something a little more, somewhat.
Man, you're making Yule vomit his mouth right now.
I know, because I got the 9.8 silver Spider-Man number 1. This is the direct edition. Jesus. It's the direct edition. But no, I love this book. And a 9.8 is always nice to have. And I got it for really cheap, too. So, and then we will go with a big boy book. With a Hulk 181. There's mine. If you don't have one, you should get one. Definitely. Just go out today, go to the store, the Hulk 181 store, and buy one.
Why is this a big book, Doc? Why?
Because it's the first Wolverine.
Oh, nice.
So absolutely,
yes. So just go to the Hulk 181 store. They're on every corner, and grab yourself one. They're cheap. You can get them for peanuts. But yeah, go get one.
Doc is Ferris Buellering the chat right now. He's basically like, if you have the means, I recommend it. It is so choice.
What am I
so
doing here?
Awesome! I'm so jealous.
I removed Doc. There we are back. Someone says Yule doesn't like Todd McFarlane. That's not what we were getting at. No. I imagine Todd McFarlane, Yule thinks Todd's a bad writer because he is, but as a fantastic artist, he hates graded comic books. And he thinks it's a travesty that you take that amazing comic book that needs to be read and throw it in a hermetically sealed fucking prison. Yes.
The
same thing that Aaron does with his toys. Is like, oh, I got this great TMNT toy. Let's never open it and play with it.
Yeah. I never open my toys. Never, ever.
Really? You don't have any sealed toys.
Never,
he's got one right there, Wes. Come on.
I've got reader copies too.
I do often have reader copies. I did sell one of my reader copy of Hulk 181. It was a coverless copy for well over like $1,200 a couple of years ago. I'm like,
no way.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm like, you know what? I have the fucking facsimile. If I want to read it, I can read that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to say thanks to everybody for geeking out with us. We learned a lot about everyone. We had a good time. And Jim, don't die this week. Come on, man. We're rooting for you.
Keep rooting.